morning, ladies and gentlemen. Yang berbahagia Datuk Dr. Engineer Andy Siao Ken Hau, Co-Chairman of Pemudah, Vice President of Federal of Malaysian Manufacturers. Our presenters, Yang berbahagia Arkitek Datuk Izumi Hazan Ismail, Board Member of Lembaga Arkitek Malaysia, and also PAM Past President. Engineer Bashir Ahmad Maidin, BEM Professional Practice Committee of Board of Engineer Malaysia. Mr. Eric Yong Shang Ming, Secretary General of Master Builders Association Malaysia. And our distinguished panelists, Yang Berusaha Timbalan Perusahaan Jaya Bomber Tuan Edwin Galan Turuki, Pengarah Bahagian Keselamatan Kebakaran Jabatan Bomber dan Penyelamat Malaysia. Yang Berusaha Town Planner Zamrizan Puji, Ketua Penolong Pengarah Kanan, Bahagian Perundingan Kawalan Pemajuan Jabatan Kerajaan Tempatan KPKT. Yang Berusaha Encik Ahmad Nazri Abdul Kadir, Pengarah Bahagian Keselamatan Industri, Jabatan Keselamatan dan Kesihatan Pekerjaan Malaysia JKKP. Engineer Puan Azura Megat Ibrahim, Manager Planning and Engineering Department, Indah Water Consortium Sdn Bhd. Encik Muhammad Zahir Muhammad Hassan, Head of CCC Unit, Pengurusan Air Selangor Sdn Bhd. And Encik Abdul Hafiz Hizir, Senior Engineer Performance and Technician Support, Asset Planning and Performance, Tenaga Nasional Berhad Kuala Lumpur. And together with today also the representative from Suruhanjaya Perkhidmatan Air Negara SPAN. They are Puan Reka Tama Raja, the Director of Standard Technical and Compliance Department, and Puan Siti Aisyah Mat Lazim, Deputy Director of Standard Technical and Compliance Department of SPAN. Welcome everybody, and I am your moderator today. My name is Samsura Amanyap. Thank you for joining us today. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum, good morning and salam sejahtera. On behalf of MPC and Pemudah, I would like to extend our gratitude to Jabatan Kerajaan Tempatan, KPKT, Jabatan Bomber dan Penyelamat Malaysia JPPM, Jabatan Keselamatan dan Kesihatan Pekerjaan Malaysia JKKP, Suruhanjaya Perkhidmatan Air Negara SPAN, Master Builders Association Malaysia, Lembaga Arkitek Malaysia, Board of Engineers Malaysia, Indah Water Consortium Sdn Bhd, Pengurusan Air Selangor Sdn Bhd, and Tenaga Nasional Berhad for supporting this webinar, and a very warm welcome to all of you to Pemudah's webinar series 4, Prompt Response to CCC Delivery Process under the New Normal. My name is Samsura Amayap, as an MPC Associate as well as by practice as an architect, and I will be your moderator for the webinar session today. Firstly, I would like to thank all the attendees that registered for today's Pemudah Webinar Series 4, Prompt Response to CCC Delivery Process under the New Normal. Due to the overwhelming response for those who did not manage to register on time, we are also live streaming at Pemudah Facebook page at www.facebook.com/Pemudah Malaysia. Ladies and gentlemen, and now, please welcome Yang Berbahagia Datuk Dr. Engineer Andy Siao Ken Ho, Co-Chairman of Pemudah, to deliver his opening remarks. Datuk Andy, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Good morning, Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri, Datuk webinar presenters, panelists, participants, and viewers. Welcome to the 4th Pemudah web series. In this series, we will focus on the topic entitled Prompt Response to CCC Delivery Process under the New Normal. My name is Andy Siao. As mentioned, I am the co-chair of Pemudah, the special task force to facilitate business. Pemudah was established 13 years ago in 2007 to bridge the gap between the private and public sector by addressing business issues and providing pertinent recommendations to facilitate business. The collaboration between Pemudah's public and private sectors members assists policymakers in making sound and workable solutions. Now, Pemudah is reaching out to the Malaysian public through a series of webinars to share practical solutions and tips on how to deal with issues arising from the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as the movement control order or conditional movement control order, and also on how to optimize the doing of business in a changed landscape under a new normal. Our webinar today is a continuity from the previous series, where we discussed on the 6 main processes of one-stop OSC 3. One-stop center OSC 3.0 plus. Today, we will focus on the later part of the process, namely process number 3 to 6 of the OSC 3.0 plus for local authority approval of development plans, construction permits, and issuance of CCC. Process 3 is when development plan approval has been received and notification of commencement of work is to be made. Process 4 is when works commencement has been notified and the local authority and technical department and agencies are conducting interim inspections at the construction site. Process 5 involves a notification of final inspection by departments and agencies prior to issuance of CCC. And finally, process 6 is when the building is certified completed and compliant with the CCC to be deposited with the local authority. A new normal has emerged from the COVID-19 pandemic, MCO and CMCO scenario. It is encouraged that the construction industry, local authorities, technical agencies, and utilities provider to engage more purposefully among themselves to review the present way of transacting applications and approval, and to highlight issues and recommend solutions for prompt response for the issuing of CCC, and also to catch up with the backlogs during the MCO period. Now, we are very honored to have with us today our highly experienced and knowledgeable panelists and speakers as introduced by moderator, Architect Aman. Now, I will not go through them as you are well aware of who they are. The moderator, as mentioned, Tuan Haji Samsul Aman Yap, is an architect and by profession, and he is able to guide us through this today's webinar. With that, I wish everyone a fruitful session. Stay safe and stay productive. Thank you. Back to you, Aman.
Thank you very much, Yang Berbahagia Datuk Dr. Engineer Andy Xiao, Co-Chair of Pemudah, for delivering his opening remarks. Okay, just now Dr. Andy Xiao just mentioned about for today's session, we are merely focusing on the OSC 3.0 plus. Let me go through the agenda for today. We just had the opening remarks by Yang Berbahagia Dr. Andy Xiao. We will then following by the first presenter by Mr. Yong Ming, then with Engineer Bashir, following by Yang Berbahagia Architect Datuk Izumi. After that, then we were going to have the dialogue with presenters and all the panelists. After that, we will be open the question and answer session to all the attendees from both the webinar as well as the Facebook live page. So for all the attendees online right now, please type in all your questions that you would like to ask into the Q&A tab, as well as in the comment of the Facebook. We will answer all of your questions one by one accordingly. And we were talking about OSC 3.0 plus. During the temu bahas with dengan Yang Amat Berhormat Perdana Menteri on the 25th April, he mentioned that COVID-19 has accelerated adoption of digital culture. And during the interview, Yang Amat Berhormat Perdana Menteri also mentioned that currently the e-government segment is about 30 to 40%, and he understands that it needs urgently need that the whole government need to be fully digitalized to handle all the issues from now until the future. As well as during the bicara naratif bersama dengan berbahagia Datuk Seri Muhammad Zuki Ali, Ketua Setiausaha Negara, on last Thursday, on the 14th of May, he also mentioned that as penjawat awam right now, so because of the entire whole situation now, he also acknowledged that the digital segment in the government is needed to be make it a lot more faster to cope up with all the backlog of work. Let me just go through with you some of the, just go back on some of the OSC 3.0 plus. The manual of OSC 3.0 plus was implemented according to the circular of the Secretary General 1/2020. Is very new, and it has been passed end of last year and officially published early of this year in January. And there's in the manual, he illustrate entire whole detailed process of the OSC 3.0 plus. But let me just go through with you as general. P1, process 1, collection of technical information. It was stated in the manual say that it's not compulsory. Applicant gathers technical requirement information from the relevant technical department and agencies. Then we go to P2, process 2, consideration of development plans. That is including planning permission is KM, road and drainage plan, building plans, earthwork plan, and other related permits. Then we go to process 3, notification of commitments of work. Then which means we are good submitting of B form of both the earthwork commitments and also building work commitments. Then we're going to have a process 4, monitoring of construction site and notification of interim inspection. Process 5, notification of final inspection stage 1 and stage 2. Last but not least, the process 6, deposition of CCC, either borang form F or form F1, together with all the completion and compliance from borang G1 to G21. And for today's session, as mentioned by Dato' Siao just now, we will be focusing from process 3 all the way until process 6. So process 3, basically, it was talking about notification of mula kerja binaan, deposition of notification of borang B by pemohon kepada urus setia OSC. Then urus setia OSC will then distribute to all the various department and agencies. That's including all the various agencies that with us today. And process 4. Okay, this process 4 is where I would like to highlight a little bit. It is slightly different from the previous OSC 3.0. So for this 3.0 plus is clearly stated, pemohon notifikasi pemeriksaan interim directly kepada the Water Authority, TMB, Jabatan Kejuruteraan, JKKP, IWK dengan bomba, and at the same time bagi satu salinan of notifikasi kepada OSC urus setia. So bagi sebarang ketidakpatuhan agensi akan keluar notis ketidakpatuhan kepada pemohon dan salinan kepada OSC. Next, we go to notification of pemeriksaan akhir, that is stage 1 dengan stage 2. Same, pemohon akan bagi minta notifikasi directly kepada all the 6 agencies, and as well as salinan notifikasi pemeriksaan terakhir kepada urus setia OSC. That will including for the Water Authority will be looking at G13, TMB G16, PBT dengan JKR in terms of road drainage G17. For pihak bomba, we have G8 and G9, both is passive firefighting and also active firefighting. JKKP G11 for the lift and escalator, as well as IWK for G14 and G15. So urus setia akan salinan dokumen pelepasan kelayakan pengesahan borang G akan bagi satu salinan kepada pengurus urus setia OSC. And last but not least, process 6, pendepositan CCC. Deposit CCC dan juga borang G dalam tempoh 14 hari selepas CCC dikeluarkan kepada urus setia OSC. Urusansedia OSC will then go kepada the respective department, and also as we informed by architect Dato' Izumi last session, that Lembaga Arkitek and also Lembaga Jurutera is looking at online receiving of deposition of CCC. The process is in planning. They will be rolled out in very, very short time. So let's not going more further. First, let me introduce our first presenter, Mr. Eric Yong Shang Ming, Malaysia Master Builders Association Malaysia Secretary General, as well as Group MD of Crest Builder Holding Berhad. Mr. Eric Yong, over to you.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, Haji Samsul. I think good morning, our co-chair, Dato' Andy. I think, and also all our fellow webinar speakers. I think I'm honored to be invited by Pemudah today to present this. I was told I don't have a very long time, probably 10 to 15 minutes max. So I'm just going to go straight to the point. I'll cover some examples of current issues, and then what we think are the proposed solutions and how we look at the future. Okay, just a couple of slides. I think if I go to my first slides, I just share some examples from IS Lango. I mean, last time to my boys. Okay, you see on my side, apart from being a contractor, I'm also doing a bit of development. It's a bit of small time. So in terms of IS Lango, it's also a common problem that my guys always face. You see, when we talk about planning and the approvals, they are all processed and issued by the HQ. But during the CCC inspections, it's all done by the different officers from the district area. I mean, let's say you have your Shah Alam. Let's say I have a project in Shah Alam. KL side, the HQ side is the one that approves, and then the Shah Alam side is the one that comes for the inspection. And most of these times, the comments are all coming from the district officers during the inspection, and hence we are going back and forth to HQ and the district, HQ and district, and so on and so forth, resulting in a lot of potential delays. Further to that, there's also a lot of double handling on the water meter. Same thing, you have this HQ and Daerah issue again, where we do all this online system are submitted to HQ and then the hard copy to the Daerah. And of course, the most common problem that we have is the insufficient water meter stock. Some of the immediate, these are all the pre-MCO issues. Some of the solutions that we actually thought would be very ideal is that I think as during the CCC inspections, whoever who comes to the site, whether it's the Daerah or the district or even HQ themselves, they should follow strictly to the approved plans, which means that we think that if the developer or the consultant has got a plan approved, and as long as a contractor built as per the approved plans, we should get through all the approvals, rather than having a lot more changes and a lot of planning changes or comments along the way that keeps on coming. And you look at my second point there, all comments should be one-off. I think that's also a big issue that a lot of people face. In fact, we notice there are a lot of cases whereby the comments start coming in, and then when you go back for re-inspection, another set of comments come in. So there's a lot of piecemeal. We are looking at one-off. I mean, to speed up and also to make sure everything's efficient, effective, I think one-off is the right way to go. And then when you talk about meter applications, same thing. I think we are going to look for standardization, like let's say an E-application, one-off. You submit to one area, one center, and they process everything. Rather than, you're dealing HQ, Daerah, then you want to make sure that you deal with the same officer and so on. So all these are a lot of headaches that happens to the developers, the contractors, of course the consultants as well. And ideally, we need to have sufficient stock of water meters. I think this among the developers and a lot of the contractors as well, those who are procuring the IS Lango meters, this is a very common problem. Usually, you see like developments or projects, all these private projects have got a deadline to meet. When you talk about water meters, you're submitting your G forms, you want to get your water meters ASAP so that you can do your vacant possession to your house buyers. But in a lot of cases that we notice as well, a lot of people face the comments of insufficient stock of water meters, or maybe they give you by batches. So these are something that we are also quite concerned as well. I mean, in the long run, this needs to be addressed as a total solution, you see. And this is just some examples on IS Lango. if you look at my next point on TNB, so I think you see the common problems that we face. Of course, we have the tapping source, and then we also have this situation of you see I've got a personal experience myself as well. We have got situations of which we have got an approved source, and then 2 years later, upon my project completion, the tapping has actually changed. We need to do pipe jacking, incurring additional costs and time, and all these little headaches. So the thing is, there's a lot of cost overruns as well due to this sudden change. And of course, during the if you're looking at TNB substation handovers, different departments, similar to Shabas, Ais Selangor, different departments has got different requirements, and then you've got deviations. So there's a lot of changes, and as much as every developer or every consultant wants this to complete within 6 months, but usually this takes a lot longer than 6 months, you see. Okay, then you see the solutions to that. I think if TNB is able to provide live data and infrastructure master plan, including all the capacity and all the juice system, how the whole network system works, and let's say project A can only tap from source X, Y, Z, I think it will be very good. Right now, I think the biggest problem is usually at the early stage, you know, the project A gets a tapping source of X, and then when you come to the 2 years, 3 years later, or maybe even the project is delayed or speed up and completed earlier, the tapping source actually become M, totally different location altogether, because the juice was given to an earlier project or a later project, a project that was delayed earlier, you see. So all these are little headaches that we face, you see. And similar to what I mentioned on Ais Selangor, I think same thing, the plans, we should go as per the approved plans. I mean, I understand that regulations do change from time to time, but let's say if I have an approved plan from, let's say, 2018, my project completes in 2021, 3 years later, there may be some changes, but the thing is, along the way, I think TNB need to either inform earlier or update the plans and so on, rather than when you get the shock 3 years later. Because you see, I mean, you know, Malaysian projects, I think we have got a lot of timeline, a lot of very strict timeline and so on. And when we hand over to the buyers, our very demanding purchasers, we promise them a time. Let's say we promise them end of the year, end of 2020. But because of sudden change to all these plans or sudden additional changes, additional comments, suddenly we cannot hand over on time. And then we are slapped with LED and all these fines. And the thing is, nowadays, with all these demanding buyers and purchasers, life is not the same for the developers and contractors anymore, is it? And of course, I think to also make sure that the process is kept to the time, I think perhaps TNB side will need to increase the manpower for CCC inspections, because this is similar to Bomba as well. I think both Bomba and TNB and so on, we observed that there's perhaps a lack of manpower. Sometimes appointment times take rather long to obtain for CCC inspection. So these are the little things that we are looking at that could possibly improve. Okay, those are just some of the common problems that we have during this. I mean, sorry, before the MCO. We have, oh, hello?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, my screen just went black. I don't know. Yeah. Okay, sorry. Okay, so in terms of the current there's no. Okay, yeah, sorry. Okay, I see now. Okay, in terms of the current during the MCO and also potentially post MCO, I think we are looking at various enhanced. Let's use a bit of big data, a bit of IoT to enhance our inspection process. I think one of it we are looking at to allow virtual site inspection, such as a video or site photo reports and all this. I think all this can also enhance the whole system. And ideally, we don't look at full digitalization of all the G forms, basically e-signing, e-submission for all local authorities, for LAM site, no more hard copies. I think, firstly, I mean, we are doing the environment a good favor as well by printing lesser plans. At the same time, I think we are going ahead in the digital age with this IR 4.0. I think we are looking at we should do more of these e-signings and so on. And of course, during current timings, during this MCO, I understand that you see, we are already into our day 60, 61, 62, 61 already of this whole MCO, EMCO, CMCO, depends on where you are. I think currently construction activities, you can see that basically it's very limited, confined very limited number of workers. And all workers, in fact, all the foreign workers are required to be tested in those in KL and Selangor. And I think in this case, the authorities should also be flexible to come for inspection rather than giving a reason of SOP and all these things. I think we should actually push for the authorities to also, you see, while the private sector is actually working, I think the local authorities should also probably also be more flexible on this. And going ahead, also my guys also suggested to provide things like iPads, laptops with all these approved plans during CC inspection to all the local authorities. Also, once again, to reduce the physical contact of drawings. And like I mentioned it previously, to digitalize and also standardize all the meter applications via applications. Okay. Okay. Then another thing that we really need to push, I think, the proposed COVID-19 bill. I think it's supposedly supposed to be tabled soon. Hopefully it'll be tabled soon. I think this is very, very important and essential, and we hope that this will be approved ASAP. And also also an extra point to add on, I think we would like to also push for the CCC dates to be backdated. At least we see, like, I mean, I also spoke to a lot of developers, and a lot of my peers and friends are all mentioning some were supposed to hand over their projects in end March, end April, mid-April kind of thing. And eventually now everything is delayed to beyond August, September, November. So I think it's a big headache here. Some projects may have the buffer, but some are actually pretty much handing on time. So once you are looking at handing on time, then you are actually answerable to the house purchasers. You have to pay LEDs and all these things. I think this is something that we need to really address, that to ensure that the developers, the consultants, your architects, and of course the main contractors are protected in this. Then my last slide, I think this is coming to future. So you see, I'm not sure if all these virtual inspections and all this can go ahead or not. But nonetheless, I'm sure later after this, Dato Izumi from PEM side will actually concur with me. You see, like, I think right now, if you look at all the total authorities, we have got our MPPJ, DBKL, JKR, JKKP, DOSH, Bomba, TNB, Shabas, and the list goes on and on. And there's actually too many people involved during the inspection. And if you look at the original spirit of the whole CCC, the next point, okay. If you look at the whole original spirit of CCC, the responsibilities are supposed to be on the professional consultants and contractor. I mean, I give you some examples. Like, you see right now, authorities give the approvals during the DO building plan and so on, OSC. And then upon completion, yes, they do come for inspection. But in the event post-inspection, post-CCC, the building collapses or any problem with the building, the responsibility still lies with the consultants and contractor and not with the local authorities. So in fact, we should effectively do away with this final authorities inspection. Sorry to all the other speakers here, I'm not trying to take away your jobs, but nonetheless, I think we should do away with the final authorities inspection. You see, let the responsibility be 100% on the contractors and the consultants, and the authorities you can do your spot checks. I suggest you can do your spot checks, but it's not so much governed, because we need to have a bit more trust in this whole contractor developer authorities relationship here. Because we need to have more people, more responsibility on the people directly involved. You see, because I think on the authority side, things change from time to time. Your regulations and so on. And along the way, you need to do I would say that on that part, I think authorities need to update the submitters. But in terms of the inspections, I think it's not necessary in that sense. You see, after all, like my third point here, after all, the design plans meet the requirements, have been approved. So if the inspection and the final compliance, if you don't trust LAM, your LAM, BEM, and so on to govern the design and plans, I think then what's the point of having the architect and engineer on site? See, so then I think if this whole thing can go through, I think it will actually speed up the whole CCC process tremendously. I mean, you could easily shave half the time there, you see, because I mean the architects are directly involved there, and the engineers also, they are all directly involved on the project, and they are governed by their own professional boards. So this they'll speed up the whole process. I think, yeah, I think that's the end of my slides. So over back to you, Haji Samsul. Yep.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Eric Yong, from the perspective as a contractor as well as the developers. Yeah, we do hear you, and I think from our last few series of the webinar of Pemudah, we have also talking about the COVID bills. We have also touched on the process 1 and process 2, and we have also touched in terms of the LAD, the EOT matters. Well, I think all going to be bogged down until when the AG going to table the COVID bill. I think that will be contractually will be much more resolved. But nevertheless, we do hear your concern. Next presenter, let us welcome Engineer Bashir Ahmad Maidin, BM Professional Practice Committee of Board of Engineer Malaysia. Engineer Bashir, over to you.
Okay. First of all, I would like to thanks to Mr. Moderator Haji Samsul, Pemudah Co-Chair Dato' Andy, my colleague Dato' Izumi, and also the rest of the panelists. So today, basically, our topic is more or less is talking about process 3, process 4, and process 6. But I'm more concentrate on the engineering side of view. So what I'm trying to say today is how we can expedite the process of inspection. Okay, so I will touch a few things what we're supposed to do for the improvement. All right. So as we know that the agency or the authority involved for the CCC we have only 6 agency involved. Number 1 is road and drainage under the local authority. Second is talking about water, the water service provider. The third one is electricity, mostly conquered by TNB. The fourth one is sewerage. We have IWK and also Majari in East Coast. And then bomber. Okay, we need a supporting letter for bomber. And finally, JKKP or DOSH. Okay, so as we know that only these few agency needs to give the supporting letter for our G form. Okay, we have to sign off G form from G1 to until G21. So only 6 only 6 agencies which involved. As been mentioned by Mr. Eric just now, we have so many agencies come for the final inspection and this and that. This is the common practice on the ground, which is not under the bylaw. Okay, if you will go back the bylaw, under bylaw we only need 6 clearance letter from 6 various agencies. So what we are trying to highlight today, because of this current situation with the MCO and so on, what we can improve is, I have a few points. Okay, number 1, we are talking about if we can notify. I think the first slide, still in the first slide. Okay, if we can notify and request the inspection via online. Currently, what our practice is, we have to go to over the counter and then submit the application form to OSC, or under OSC 3.0 plus, we have to go to a various agency. If let's say for during the interim inspection, we have 6 or 7 agencies, we have to go and see them frequently to get the inspection date and so on. So what we can do now, we can suggest is if we can notify or request the inspection via online, doesn't matter by email or whatever. So this is what we hope to be happen. Okay. Secondly, in terms of implementation of risk-based inspection. Okay, this is not happen currently. So if you look current procedure, all types of project you must go for inspection. Okay, so later I will explain what you mean by the risk-based inspection. Thirdly is to receive the clearance letter via online. No need to have a physical interaction. So after the inspection been carried out, maybe after 7 or 14 days, the letter can be sent to the applicant or to the PSP or SP via online. So this is what I would like to suggest, okay, for the agency to look forward to improve. Okay, now I want to highlight on the risk-based inspection. Okay, why we say this risk-based inspection is very important. Okay, so to implement the risk-based inspection, the agency to identify the risk level of development for the development and the scope of work involved in the approval. So they have to categorize it. For example, if there is a development, they have to categorize what type of development. Is it a low risk or medium risk or high risk? Okay. So with this risk-based implementation, you can reduce number of site inspection, especially for the low risk. Okay, low risk or medium risk, you don't have to go to the site for inspection. You leave it to the professional to come out with the reports. Okay, a detailed report has been mentioned to be submitted. Then the submitting person will submit the report. So the duty of the local authority or agency just to go through the report. If everything goes well, you can issue straight away the CCC clearance letter. Thirdly, the site and the lab test all carried out by the consulting engineer or the submitting person, okay, without the presence of the agency. So what you can do, the submitting person or the engineer can prepare all the report, all the documents, all the forms together and then submit via online. Then it depends on the risk. If low risk, straight away they can receive the clearance letter. If medium risk, they can have a final inspection, and so on. And finally, the agency has to provide a complete method and procedure, okay, for the PSP and SP to follow. Okay, next. I would like to show some example what we have done for DBKL. Okay, currently DBKL already introduced. This is already introduced since last 2 years. Okay, they already have this risk-based inspection for the R&D, road and drainage. Okay, under JAPIF. So I would like to explain a little bit about this. Okay, if low risk project, they have a category of risk, and also at the same time, they already have the list of or type of project which is falls under which category, under low risk or medium risk or high risk. Okay, for the low risk, they don't have at all any inspection. Okay, they don't have any interim inspection, they don't have a final inspection. So the applicant or the submitting person have to prepare the forms and all the reports, okay, the reports and also as-built drawing, submit to DBKL, and then they will go through the documents. If they're satisfied with the documents, that means whatever given by the submitting person is genuine. So straight away, within 7 days, they will issue the clearance letter. No inspection being carried out. But currently, the application have to submit over the counter. So what we suggest in future, if they can come up with online, so we can submit online and then we can receive the clearance letter also via online. So this can reduce the number of interaction with the local authority. Okay, for the medium risk, so they don't have the interim inspection. They only have to go for the final inspection. The process is still the same. They have to prepare, the submitting person have to prepare all the reports, the photograph, the as-built drawing, everything, submit to DBKL. And then DBKL will go through and give a date for inspection. Within 14 days, they will issue the clearance letter. And for the big risk, for the high risk, okay, this one we need involved with the interim inspection and also final inspection. So within 7 days, you have submit all the application and they will arrange for the inspection. And then after the interim inspection, if there is any comment, you have to rectify on site. Then if no, you can go for you can carry out the construction work until the completion. Then you have to submit for the final inspection notification. Then they will arrange another inspection for the final inspection. So this is what we have supposed to think about it for the rest of the agency. If this one can be happen, the authority can reduce their number of work for inspection. If not, currently what happened, all type of project, even though you have to construct a culvert also you have to go for inspection. Okay, so if with this, for the small project, you don't need to go for the inspection. You just trust the consultant, let the consultant take the responsibility, let them prepare all the report accordingly, then you submit to them, they will issue the clearance letter. This is what I think most of the stakeholder insist if we can look forward in the future. Okay, next slide. This is also another example what I can suggest for the Ais Selangor. Okay, because that day we have discussed about this, if how they can improve. Okay, how they can make it. They can follow like what happened in DBKL under road and range, whereby they can categorize for the small scale, medium scale, and also big scale. So this is what happened in Ais Selangor. Okay, because why I think most of the submitting person have experience with Ais Selangor, whereby to complete the inspection we have to complete 11 forms. Okay, they have QT1, QT2 until QT11. All right. So what I'm showing now is this is what happened currently. Okay, after the plan approved, the construction in progress, you have to fill up QT4, QT5, QT6, and then once the construction completed, you have to continue for QT7, QT8, QT9, and KA1. So this the detail of this QT I don't want to explain now because I think everybody is aware about it. So then only after the project completed, before they can take over, we have to submit for the form QT11 for them to issue the clearance letter. So QT11 is considered as a clearance letter. So this is what happened in Ais Selangor. So what I can suggest is go to the next slide. Okay, this is a part also which we have discussed with Ais Selangor before this previously. If let's say Ais Selangor can follow what is happened like this DBKL, they can categorize. I just show one example only. Okay, so if they can categorize the project based on the risk, okay, because different projects have different type of risk, different agency have different type of risk. Whatever we see, actually risk is not basically it's not the size of the project, it's the size or the risk being taken by every agency. Okay, different agency have different type of risks. So this is what I suggest is if let's say for the Ais Selangor, they can have this kind of low risk whereby the QT1 until QT until form OAC, they have a lot of QTs. Some of the form can be filled up by the PSP, and the PSP will take the responsibility. Okay, so they have pipe material inspection report, hydrostatic pressure, okay, request for bank guarantee, clearance letter for region O&M, tapping, and so on. All these things can be filled up by the consultant, and the consultant can take responsibility. Only they have to go for the final joint inspection, and then they can issue the clearance letter. If not, we have to go frequent time for inspection. So if let's say all the agency can look forward to improvise their method of inspection, I think we can cut short and also makes our consultant, our developer, and also the contractor life more easier. Rather than now, sometimes some department or some agency, the numbers of inspection, we have to go maybe 5 times, 6 times. So that means you need a lot of interaction within the agency and also the submitting person or the contractor. So this is some of the recommendation which I can give because the time also is quite constrained for me to talk more than that. So that's why I just simplified my slide so that I direct to the point. So this is what we hope in future, also during the MCO or post MCO, we can improve our doing things, okay, way of doing things, so that everybody can get the benefit and also for the country. Thank you. Thank you very much. I hand over back to Mr. Haji Samsul.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Engineer Bashir, on their explanation and also analysis as well as the recommendation. Perhaps later we can use the session during the dialogue between the presenters and also the panelists to discuss further and see whether this recommendation, is it workable or is it how to improvise to make the entire whole inspection to make it much more effective and also less human interaction. Next, let us welcome our next presenter. Yang berbahagia Arkitek Datuk Izumi Harzani Ismail, Board Member of Lembaga Arkitek Malaysia as well as PAM Past President. Yang berbahagia Datuk Izumi, over to you.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh, and very good morning. Okay, I think first of all I must thank Haji Samsul Manjab and also Datuk Andy Xiao for organizing this webinar, the Pemudah webinar. Last week we have already talked about process 1 and process 2. So today we are going to talk about process 3, 4, and 5 and 6. Just now, Engineer Bashir has spoken about the process. I'm just going to elaborate a little bit more on how to make it practical during MCO. Maybe Haji Samsul can proceed with the next slide. Okay, so this is based on the framework under the manual OC 3+ for process 3, where basically the notification for commencement of work and submission of Borang P, notification of commencement of work. So under this process, the Borang P, the B form, must be submitted over the counter. Then later OAC, Secretariat will distribute the form to all the respective departments and also the technical agencies. For example, the building department, engineering department, and other agencies. I think other than Form P, there also Form JKJ 103 to DOSH to notify the commencement of construction work. So then after that, if the respective department has no comment, and then the commencement of work may start after four days after notification was made. So, but the process currently has to be done manually, where actually all the forms being filled up, signed, and submitted over the counter. So, I look at how this actually can be taken as an opportunity to improve the situation by looking at digitalization of the process. For example, now, if we can digitalize the form, so that the form can be filled up by the PSP and so the submitting person, the SP, through digital and submitted online. So if we don't have the system ready for submission through the OEC 3+ online or OEC online for the purpose of notification for commencement of work, we actually can use the existing platform. For example, here I just put an example. Maybe we can use Google Drive, or can also as simple as by email. But we need a system to manage it, so that the person at OSC, whenever they receive this notification, they are aware this is our official notification. So as simple as probably you can create a special email address just to receive notification for commencement of work, so that all the document will be received in digital format. Then it can be distributed to all the respective agency seamlessly. So that will avoid from the direct contact and physical meeting over the counter. So this is one of the opportunity that I think is very easy to be done. A quick fix for this one. Next slide. So what I want to highlight just a few possibility and potential that how we can proceed with the work under this MCO. The other one is for inspection. Just now notice for commencement of work. Now for interim inspection. Interim inspection again under the present arrangement that the notification for inspection has to be notified, okay, to every department. In this diagram, it shows that 6 departments: the Water Authority, TMP, Engineering Department, DOSH, Sewerage Services, and also Bomber. But at the same time, a copy, salinan notification, a copy of that notification must also be sent to OAC. So it means that the PSP and SP has to deal with 7 counters for 6 technical agencies and also 1 OAC. Then after that, after getting the confirmation from this agency, when is the date for inspection, then the arrangement has to be made. Some agency probably ask for payment, deposit payment or charges. So this process can be easily done online as well. So if we are not ready with a proper system at the moment, we can use whatever system that readily available. For example, we can use a Google Calendar. I just give an example, a simple example. So a quick fix for this one, using a Google Calendar so that the agency can set the open calendar so anybody can book or block the time. So agency can set, this is the available time. So anybody want to arrange for inspection, they can arrange during that period. But however, this interim inspection actually can be done at any time by the agency, except that certain inspection which are at a particular stage where actually the agency want to see the installation, for example, then the appointment has to be made through this digital system. So of course, in future, we hope that OSC Online will have this online calendar built into the system. But meanwhile, under the present condition, I think we can use whatever application that is readily available. What we need actually is for the department or agency to set this calendar and share with the PSP and SP so that they can book the time for the inspection. Okay. The next slide. Okay, similarly, in this one also related to inspection. This is final inspection. Again, similar opportunity we have. So if you can use a Google Calendar, for example, or any other planners, it can save time. For example, you don't need to go to set the appointment and then make payment, and then after that to get the letter confirmation for the date, and then again to go to the site to do the inspection. From this chart, I can see that several improvements can be done. One, of course, using the Google, using the calendar, online calendar. The other one is that I also noticed that at the end, after the inspection, after receiving the clearance letter, the PSP and SP need to deposit with the OAC or the copy of the clearance letter, which is, I think this is not necessary. The reason why I think this is not necessary because after the PSP and SP receive all the clearance letter, then after that CCC will be issued by the PSP. When CCC issued by the PSP, PSP will attach all the G form and clearance letter, and that form will be deposited with OAC. It's no point for OAC to get the clearance letter twice. So before CCC and after CCC deposit. So what I want to share here, basically there are opportunities, there are existing platforms that we can use. So like what we mentioned the previous week, we say that even for meeting, we can have online meeting so that we can have OAC meeting. So this is one way that we can have immediate fix on how to continue with working and coordination during this MCO. However, of course, if we want to move further, I have a radical suggestion. It may be not easily be acceptable by the authorities or technical agencies, but I think this is something that we can think for future for the new normal. So if you look at the whole construction progress being supervised by the professional, either the architect or engineers. They are at site all the time and they are responsible for life, for the structure, for the building that they design. So upon completion of the physical work, I think they know exactly where and when the stage of work actually, and when it is the project actually is ready to be issued with CCC. So in my view, for the future, whenever the building is completed, CCC should be issued, regardless whether the inspection has been done or not by the local authorities or technical agency. What should be done, basically, the PSP and SP should notify through the OAC, notify that, whether through online system or by email or whatever. In future, if you have the online system, and then use the online system to notify that now the building is ready, the system is ready for inspection, for final inspection. And now we are going to issue the CCC. So if the local authority or technical agency come after that and inspect the condition, although that CCC has already been issued, the technical agency or local authority can still issue notice for compliance. But at least upon completion of the building, CCC can straightaway be issued. There is no waiting time to get the clearance letter, because sometimes the clearance letter can take 3 to 4 months, sometimes longer than that. So I think it's a waste when the building is completed, but the building cannot be occupied. So I just give you an example. For example, in bomber inspection, although that bomber issue the clearance letter, after that CCC is going to be issued. 1 year later, bomber still will come for the fire certificate inspection. So just treat this as a normal routine inspection. So not necessarily you must hold a CCC, and then you come to inspection, then only CCC can be issued. So I think we have to move forward with the new normal, because maybe inspection is not easily be done. So this is one way we can look at it. So let the professional issue the CCC at any time. The local authorities or agency can come for the inspection, for audit, and also for verification. And then, of course, I think just now Haji Samsul mentioned that LAM and Board of Engineers looking into online deposit of CCC. Actually, it's already being implemented. I think since early last year or a year before that, CCC online has already been implemented by LAM. So the PSP actually can deposit CCC through LAM website. But the physical copy still need to be submitted at the moment to OAC counter and also to LAM after the online submission. We just hope that in future that everything can be fully implemented online, that you don't have to issue a copy to the local authority in hard copy anymore, because the person who actually need the hard copy is the owner of the building, because that the building is theirs, they must prove that they have the CCC. Okay, next slide. Okay, what I want to share with you, how man rides in space. Okay, there was a story in 1965 when the astronaut from Russia and also from United States want to go to space. They have issues how to ride in space. So they try, the US astronaut tried to use pen, but it doesn't work because of zero gravity. The ink doesn't flow. And but the Russian at that time, the Russian, they use pencil. So pencil is just like a quick fix. Whenever the system is not ready, the pen is not ready, you can use whatever available at the moment as a quick fix to make sure that you move. If you want to search for the proper solution, you may have to wait your plane to go to the moon for another 100 years. Next slide. So this is what I want to share with you. In 1795, people already invented a pencil. That was the earliest pencil in 1975. 1918, the normal pencil was invented. So in 1965, so when the Russian went to space, they used pencil. But only in 1967, a pen maker, a pen manufacturer, Paul Fisher, actually invented this space pen. This space pen actually has nitrogen in the pen refill capsule, so that it gives pressure for the ink to go out through the ballpoint. But of course, okay, that is not the best or not the latest that we have today. If you look at in 1967, people invented that pen to be used in space. But even earlier than that, 1915, the rotating mechanical pencil has already been invented. And 2015, Apple invented the Apple Pencil, and 2018, the Apple Pencil version 2. So similarly with the system, we shouldn't wait until our system to be perfect. I know that people are now talking about the auto check system, beam submission system. That is the almost ultimate online system. But at the moment, we must use whatever platform we have, whatever technology we have, so that we don't have to wait 100 years before we get the perfect system. What we need is, we need a quick fix to make sure that things are moving. Okay, that's all from me, Jiaman. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Architect Dato' Izumi, for sharing with us all the possible improvement within the OSC 3.0 plus online systems, as well as within the framework itself. Exactly like what Dato' Izumi was saying just now, definitely if we always wanted to look for a perfect systems, it will take years. But now, looking at current scenario, I think we will really need to look into what would be recap as what Dato' Izumi in the previous webinar saying, what would be the low-tech method, but efficient and effective manner to handle the current situation. And let's move on with our next session. Once again, I welcome Yang Berbahagia, Yang Berusaha Timbalan Suruhanjaya Bomber, Tuan Edwin Galan Teroki, Yang Berusaha Town Planner Zamrizam Puji, Yang Berusaha NJ Ahmad Nazri, Engineer Puan Azura Megat Ibrahim, Encik Mohan Nazir Muhammad Hassan, and also Encik Abdul Hafiz, together with all our three presenters, to have the presenters and panelists dialogue. Welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for accepting our invitation to become our panelists for today. Thank you. Welcome everyone. Perhaps just let me share with some to all the panelists and presenters some of the slides that Dato' Izumi has shared during the last webinar. This is the data from KPKT. As late as accumulated data from April 2007 to May 2020. In current process, dalam process, we have total outstanding 9,000 CCC is yet to be issued. That is quite a huge amount of the numbers that we are looking at specifically for today, where all the inspection, all the others issue that is where it is currently. And also, this is a projection also from the data from KPKT. Looking at first the planning approval, building approval, and also CCC from 2015 all the way until projection of 2020. At this year, 2020, it is expected to have 9,500 CCC to be completed. And as compared with the previous few years, from 5,000, 6,000, 7,500, all the way jump up to 9,500, the growth is actually quite a lot. And this year, because we are expecting about 25% projects are affected by the MCO, so it still have about 2,375 numbers of CCC that to be issued. But exactly with the current scenario, how is this thing going to happen? I understand that TMB actually has come up with some of the method that encounter for the current inspection. Perhaps Cik Hafiz can share with us on what TMB is currently doing. Cik Hafiz?
Okay, good afternoon for everyone. We can proceed with the next slide. Okay, so in principle, this is the main process of OAC 3.0 plus, where we are discussing today for the process number 3 until process number 6. In relation to these processes, this is basically a typical project life cycle of a certain project. So we need to understand how does this process relates to each individual technical agencies in their respective procedures, such as supply application and other utilities that are involved. So next. So if we to take, for example, TMB, if we look at this graph, this diagram, some sort of like a Gantt chart here, whereby I put a timeline, typical timeline of the project starts from March this year to July next year. This is an ideal case for medium and large scale development. The relation between the process, for example, process 1, data gathering and pre-consultation, in TMB, we are ensuring the required guidelines are met. For this particular stage, it is an optional step. It is not compulsory. Most of them submit their data gathering request to TMB directly to ensure that the requirements are met in the most practical way, and the electrical supply scheme is tallied to the latest guideline within TNB before the submission of kebenaran merancang to BBT. At this stage, the tapping point is not discussed because it is very early, and TMB practice whoever required supply very early, we entertain them in terms of first come first serve basis. So at this stage, data gathering, we didn't discuss about tapping point because whatever we discuss at this moment will not reflect the actual tapping point during the supply application process. So in process 2, kebenaran merancang and building approval plan, in TMB, we only process kebenaran merancang. If they have submitted their pre-consult or data gathering in process 1, the endorsement for kebenaran merancang to PBT is very quick, because if the technical details and the approval timeline is still the same, we quickly endorse and refer to the previous letter that we have submitted to the PSP. So for this process, the submission by PSP is to be done to PBT, and PBT will submit to TMB for further comments. For those who don't opt for pre-consultation, we will treat the kebenaran merancang documents as the first time of processing. It may have sometimes for process in typical within 14 working days. In average, we process it around 20 to 21 days. We will further improve this with our enablers internally to ensure quick approval as per the required guidelines by KPKT. In process 3, as OSC 3.0 is known as notification of start work, in TMB, we will see this as electrical supply application. The supply application itself, the submission can be done, the submission needs to be done online through my TMB portal, while the hard copy documents of approval needs to be sent to Asset Planning and Performance TNB. Submission is ideally done after KM approval, but before building plan approval. This is the ideal timeline with respect to the OAC process. So electrical supply application needs to be done after KM approval, but before building approval plan. This ideal space or range of time is because most of the submission for medium and large scale development requires substation in the building or stand alone within the development. So the substation space requirement will affect the building plan. For those who have submitted building plan as permohonan serentak in PBT, or they have submitted early because they expect that the building agencies, we doesn't kita tak halang benda tu berlaku, but if there is any changes that needs to be done in the substation design drawing that we have approved, then the PSP are obligated to do the amendments accordingly in their submission of building plan approval to the PBT and other respective agencies. In this stage, electrical supply application, the tapping point will be determined. This is where we will discuss about where the tapping point will be used for this particular project based on the supply required date. Since I said earlier that the tapping point is based on first come first serve basis, we have different scale of projects. Some are required very near, very short supply required date. Some takes 2 to 5 years supply required date. So we are trying our best to decide the best tapping point during this stage. So the tapping point is discussed during this stage, but not during the kebenaran merancang stage. Because in TMB, although we have, let's say, 100% of kebenaran merancang submitted to TMB, only around 60 to 80% become actual electrical supply application. So we are still seeing that booking a tapping point during kebenaran merancang stage is too early and may incur additional internal cost of building the capacity beforehand. But during the implementation, there are many changes that has been occurred for that particular development. The next is P4, interim inspection. During the interim inspection, this is the main part of inspection of TMB, interim inspection, because here is where we inspect the site and also substation and over to TMB. In electricity supply, only the substation building is provided by the developer and certain infra related to the development, for example, manhole piping or HDD works outside their development. But in their development is basically their site readiness and their substation. This is being done by the developer and will be handed over to TNB, while other installation, electrical installation, is being done by TNB. So this is very important, and we have established pre-commissioning inspection and testing. We call it SPR, and this is being standardized throughout Malaysia based on the best practices has been done by different zones. We compile it together, standardize it, and we implement it throughout TNB. This will address the issues that we mentioned by Mr. Eric earlier regarding different people, different comments, or when the comments has been rectified, there comes another comment and another comment in installments. So doing TIAD, we have ensured that the checklist is all standardized, is as detailed as we can, and we also communicate with the planning department to ensure the inspection is being done with respect to the approved drawing. For example, development that takes supply required date up to 3 to 5 years. In between that process, TNB, we have a few updated circulars that may impact the particular development. To be honest, in these circulars, some circulars are affected immediately if the project is not yet being commissioned, or in some circulars, the implementation is to be done immediately if the project is not yet being approved. So not yet being approved is different is different with the project has not been commissioned. So we are trying our best to ensure the communication is there between TMB, the M&E consultant, and also the contractor at site, to ensure the communication or changes is done is as transparent and as effective as possible, to ensure that during this inspection there will be less hiccup, and if there is any rectification needs to be done, it will be done only once, not in repetitive order. So for the final inspection P5, for TMB, this is TMB site work and installation. Since we are a bit different than other utilities, we TMB appoint our internal TMB contractor to start work after relevant relief excavation permits are obtained from relevant authorities. So once the construction is all being done, Surat Sokongan CCC will only be issued only after TMB service cable before the meter is energized. So the request for Surat Sokongan CCC is to be submitted to TMB. For the time being, it is not standardized. For what that I mean is, in some states, the notification or the request of Surat Sokongan CCC, some M&E consultant needs to submit to construction unit. For example, in KL, needs to submit to a construction unit. And some states like Penang, Perak, they can submit to planning unit. So since we are internally still ongoing a very long restructuring process, so we have planned to standardize all these requests for Surat Sokongan CCC to be done, to be submit to asset planning and performance unit, and our unit will be issue the Surat Sokongan CCC usually within 1 working day. So in TMB, final inspection is not a big issue. The main hiccups and problems mentioned by most of our PSP are during the P4, the interim inspection, because this is where the substation and site needs to be handed over to TMB. So going to the next slide. Next slide. Okay. We need to understand the time frame as well, when we start, when it ends, and there are sometimes gaps in between this process. So for data gathering, it starts when submission of pre-consultation document. Some officers accept data gathering to be face-to-face discussion on request, especially on large-scale developments. Usually, the face-to-face discussion needs to be done via appointment basis. So most of the time, in TMB, we practice submission with documents. So we can check the documents, we can discuss internally without the need of the PSP. And then the timeline will end with the issuance of technical documents, usually within 40 days. On process 2, PBT distribute the OSC online for PBT who has already implementing OSC online. So the clock starts when we receive the submission in the OSC online portal, or in hard copies for some other PBTs to the TMB respective officers. It will end when the issuance of technical documents. Sometimes the kebenaran rancang will eventually take a longer time at the PBT to be approved, but since we have issued the technical comments by TMB, we can start to receive their supply application, the P3 here. So the submission needs to be done online by TMB portal, with the hard copy document needs to be submitted to the asset planning and performance unit. And it will end when the issuance of connection charges, the CSP, charge sambungan pengguna. So the construction will be done on site. In P4, this is notification for consultant for site and substation and over. This is being done by the M&E consultant to TNB. And the PR, the pre-commissioning inspection and testing, will be done on site with the required documents. And finally, for P5, this is when the construction in TMB will start. we will look at these 4 particular stages. Either you have paid the contribution charges first, or later site handover, substation handover, and excavation permit approved. So based on these 4 stages, the date yang paling last sekali, the last date that happened for these 4 stages, usually excavation permit approval, we are committed to give electricity within 60 calendar days, which ended by meter install. So based on these 4 plus 60 days, we still install. This is how we can see, like Mr. Eric mentioned just now, the process between interim inspection, site handover, will take roughly 6 or more months, because taking the start date of this handover until the meter install, we will need to go through these 4 items: connection charge, site handover, substation handover, and finally excavation permit approved. So there are certain approval needs to be done, then only TMB can start work. So this is what Mr. Eric mentioned, it takes 6 to 8 months. And the process between P1 until ends is basically based on the supply life cycle, the project life cycle. Next. So adapting to the new norm, as we have been go through the PKP, kalau kita tengok statistik pada awal-awal bulan Februari, Mac, kita pun dah start cuba untuk reduce face-to-face interaction even before PKP. But when PKP has been announced with all the FAQ has been issued by respective kementerian, kita tengok kat mana kita boleh adjust, yang kita boleh cuba buat to ensure kita still boleh buat kerja and tidak lewatkan progress pembinaan di tapak. Jadinya kita tengok, kalau kita tengok adapting to the new norm ni, yang pertama sekali, even before MCO, kita dah start reduce meeting with people and working on site in large groups, skipping meetings by giving prior feedbacks and follow through on minutes on meetings closely, and we getting prior approval to work in office or on site if not his or her turn to do so. Ini maksudnya masa PKP ni kita ada jadual. So TMB are essential services, tapi bukan 100% semua orang bekerja di pejabat. Kita kategoriskan dia critical and non-critical, and yang non-critical tu ada jadual dia. So kalau dia perlu datang kerja di luar jadual, dia kena dapatkan approval juga. And then we have started individually persediaan masing-masing, soft copy submission via email. So all hard copy submission yang selama ni diberikan oleh PSP kepada TMB, kita boleh terima dah in terms of PDF, boleh disubmit dalam email ataupun cloud storage, sebab dekat TMB punya internal email ada limitation attachment. So kalau bagi link cloud storage pun kita boleh download. Certain leniency on signed documents, sebab PDF kita nak zoom, kalau dia scan copy file yang ada sign, kadang-kadang kita zoom tak nampak. So for early comment and approval, kita boleh terima kalau dokumen tu belum disign, ditandatangan. So kita komen awal. Certain dokumen yang masih lagi perlu submit hard copy, mandated by law, mesti submit hard copy, boleh melalui dispatch ataupun serahan tangan. And TMB will advise dokumen mana yang perlu hard copy untuk dihantar. So contohnya macam proses kebenaran merancang, saya dah boleh terima semuanya dalam bentuk email. Kebanyakan planner TMB yang menguruskan kebenaran merancang pun dah boleh terima by email. Cuma untuk supply application, sebab dokumen untuk checking tu banyak, certain officers boleh terima email awal, tapi last kali hard copy drawings still needs to submit by hand or dispatch for final approval. So final approval, endorsement, chop, comment tu semua masih lagi perlu by hand untuk record keeping. So in between, beberapa, biasanya akan ada a few comments lah before final approval. Benda tu semua boleh submit online, pakai email. secara PDF. Kalau ada staff kita yang mungkin tak nampak, tak jelas, mereka akan panggil meeting ataupun pakai hard copy juga. So online meetings, kita punya joint meeting ketika peringkat planning, kick-off meeting, kita semua dah boleh buat online. ICT kita cuma buat masa ni belum benarkan aplikasi Zoom. Aplikasi lain semua kita boleh guna. Skype ke, Teams ke, Webex ke, kita boleh guna. Cuma bila pakai Zoom sahaja yang masih belum dibenarkan. Jadinya cloud storage juga dibenarkan. Kita boleh akses cloud storage luar. Dan certain ICT security policies still terpakai. Jadi ICT adalah unit yang paling aktif ketika PKP ni beritahu apa yang perlu buat, apa yang perlu prepare, apa yang tak boleh practice during this PKP. On PDF comments, so kita juga dalam proses nak buat semua benda dalam PDF. If it cannot be done, kita akan self print comment secara tangan, kita chop dan kita akan scan semula jadi PDF. Still, final approval and endorsement will required to be done on hard copy. Adjustment on manpower. Contohnya, interim inspection tadi tu, PIAT tu, kita masih lagi belum finalisekan dari segi bilangan orang, unit yang perlu pergi, perlu pakai video call ataupun gadget tertentu untuk memudahkan inspection. Kita memang ada appointment yang diterima even ketika PKP untuk membuat inspection dan commissioning of project. So kita masih lagi memilih projek mana yang best practice untuk kita standardkan. Kita bukan kata kita halang 100% tak boleh buat, cuma kita kata it is yet to be finalized. So selagi kita belum dapat satu standard ataupun yang mana boleh tunggu kita tunggu, yang mana projek kerajaan ataupun berkaitan essential services kita teruskan, dan kita akan cari sehingga kita mencapai satu kaedah yang paling selamat untuk kita standardkan, barulah kita boleh full force buat kita punya PIAN and inspection. Some record keeping challenges still berlaku untuk benda-benda yang non-systemized ataupun quality record yang based on Excel, bukan ikut sistem, perlu Asim juga perlu adjustment. And we are being advised by our top management to able to work better than before. Most of the things kita dah tak perlu pergi meeting luar banyak. Kita dah tak perlu pergi kerja commute semua. Sepatutnya kita boleh bekerja lebih efisien, lebih banyak masa untuk buat kerja. Tapi adjustment of manpower ni masih perlu dibuat. The agile standardization where permitted ni kita akan explain pada next slide nanti. And last kali, ni juga penting yang kita highlightkan by our planners. Kita selalu buat plan, buat drawing, kita letak scale. Scale tu dalam misbah in ratio. So bila kita working in PDF, this ratio tak terpakai. Sebab ratio ni biasanya kita print A1, AO. Tapi ratio sahaja tak terpakai kalau kita buat PDF. So kita mencari-cari reference of distance. So kalau kita boleh implement something extra is kita letakkan map scale ni yang blok hitam putih ni. So bila kita ada map scale blok hitam putih ni kat dalam drawing, kita boleh guna ni lah pakai ruler kita punya PDF software ke apa ke to measure dekat kita punya drawing yang kita dapat PDF tu. So benda ni lebih accurate. Kita tidak ada ralat dari segi kita perlu print dan sebagainya, sebab scale ni biasanya diorang akan letak scale nisbah dalam saiz A1. So penambahbaikan yang kita boleh cadangkan kat sini adalah letak map scale line ni saja. Next slide. So untuk apa yang kita suggest lah untuk agencies, is an open suggestion depending on agencies. Mereka pun saya pasti berfikir apa yang kita boleh buat untuk ensure kerja berjalan. So kalau kita tengok cycle ni, as is SOP ni sebelum MCO hari tu, and then crisis mitigation bila MCO announce, kita fikir mana satu yang essential, yang tak essential, critical and non-critical units. Ini yang contoh TMB. So establish siapa yang perlu kerja in office and from home, ikut timetable to ensure acceptable productivity. So kita bukan kata duduk rumah tak buat kerja, kita make sure semua orang ada kerja di rumah, kasih peluang untuk mereka bawa balik alat-alat komputer dan device di rumah untuk make sure dia orang buat kerja dan hanya datang kerja ikut jadual. So work around kita akan fikir. And kita tengok work during MCO, kita learn new enablers, online meeting softwares and all, brainstorm ideas to ensure productivities are not affected. Kita test and deploy, kita inform kita punya immediate manager any changes to be done and how we can best inform our customers outside. Customer biasa yang nak bayar bil, nak bayar cas sambungan, M&E consultant yang nak buat submission, kita fikir cara terbaik ayat yang paling formal untuk kita announcekan. Adakah kita announce bagi pihak negeri kita sendiri, unit kita sendiri ataupun the whole TMB. Kita buat adjustment based on feedback, check and balance. Kita fine tune idea study and kita ensure all manpower kita connected and delivered as ordered. So once kita dah fine tune kita punya ideas, kita standardkan. So this is when bila kita dengar kerajaan nak start semula ekonomi, as soon as 4th May, kita macam awal-awal dah sedia 13 Mei kot kita start kerja. So bila announce 4 Mei start kerja, kebanyakan unit dah keluar internal circular untuk new changes to be standardized. Kita keluar banyak circular internal. So this internal circular needs to be communicated accordingly to the consultants, either via email or WhatsApp broadcast. Macam saya juga ada bagi ayat standard untuk WhatsApp broadcast, kena bagi tahu ayat apa, attachment apa. So semua inform, kita bagi tahu wakil-wakil konsultan ni dia orang akan distribute lah dekat company dia orang punya WhatsApp group. So this cycle will continue to happen. The circulars will continue to be updated until kita ready to the new norm. Kita tak akan kata kita balik semula ke SOP. Kemungkinan untuk ke arah SOP tu agak jauh lah. Tapi at least kita standardkan dan kita informkan. Kebanyakan problem yang kita ada sekarang adalah dari segi communication. To ensure dari agency ke PSP ke contractor at site and also the final process bila kita nak dapatkan CCC tu tak ada isu. So I guess tu je.
Okay, Cik Hafiz. Okay, I think kemungkinan kita just stop sini sekejap tapi dah memang terima kasih kepada Cik Hafiz daripada pihak TMB untuk memberitahu kita mengenai the adapting to the new normal daripada pihak TMB, daripada macam mana daripada the existing SOP dengan how to do the adjustment and the sanitization supaya kerja-kerja masih menjalankan seperti biasa tapi hanya kena buat some adjustment. Kemungkinan kita just stop sini sekejap. I would like to pass it to kepada semua panelis yang berada sekarang. Perhaps ada beberapa ke metodologi yang diambil alih oleh agensi masing-masing dari pihak bomba, pihak CKKP, Indah Water, Air Selangor dan sebagainya, even including PPT daripada JKT. How do you internally from the HQ side or from the implementation, is there any steps that individual agency dah ada buat seperti apa yang disebut oleh pihak TMB tadi? Is there any supaya kita boleh share sikit kepada semua?
Okay, mungkin saya dulu.
Okay. Ya, Tuan Irwin.
Saya boleh dengar?
Ya, boleh.
Pertama kali saya ucap terima kasihlah kepada MPC dan juga presenter tadi. Moderator lah pertama sekali
Terima kasih.
Kena mengadakan apa dia panggil ni? Webinar.
Yes.
Is a timely. Ini adalah sesuai dengan keadaan NCO sekarang lah. Anyway, saya ingin menyatakan dua-tiga perkara lah. Persiapan bomba lah. Benarnya kita tak tahu yang online ini adalah penting. Sebab itu kita dulu, kalau kita tengok, bomba telah developkan satu sistem yang kita panggil EEFIS. EEFIS ini, kalau kita nak buat inspection EEFIS tu, kita tak perlu memohon seperti orang banyak. Kita perlu online saja. Dan kita boleh book tarikh kat situ. Dan inilah application yang kita nak developkan untuk inspection di premise. Kita panggil e-premise. Kita dah developkan daripada last year, tapi masih lagi dalam perkembangan, iaitu kita akan masukkan semua maklumat berkaitan dengan pembinaan bangunan, daripada bina bangunan sehinggalah kepada enforcement, licensing, inspection, kita masukkan sekali. Dan borang pun tak perlu kita pergi bayaran kat bomba lagi. Kita ada sistem nanti kita panggil e-fees, e-premise. Yang itu kita akan bayar secara online. Begitu juga dengan borang semua online. Itu yang Jabatan Bomba telah developkan, tapi dia masih lagi dalam pembangunan lah, still under development. And also, I like to use this opportunity to answer some questions that are raised by the speaker just now. Actually, regarding of the inspection for the CCC and also inspection of fire certificate. CCC and fire certificate is totally different thing. CCC is under building by under UBBL ataupun under kerjaan tempatan. That is after completion of building, you do the inspection. But fire certificate, we are given you a 1 year period after the CCC, then you can apply for fire certificate. That is totally different. That is enforcement already. So I hope not be confusing those who hear. The fire certificate is not according to UBL, it's according to the Fire Service Act under section 27 to 32, 33. And now we already have a new regulation. I may use this opportunity to improve fire certificate regulation. And regulation is coming soon. Due of the COVID-19 MCO, we are unable to have a conference. Otherwise, we can have a conference. But by the way, probably we are thinking conference like this later on, all over premises. So thank you, moderator, giving us the idea. So probably later on we will use this. So the inspection for the CCC is totally different with the fire certificate. Of course, if you see after the building been built, and then the CCC has been comply, and after 1 year, we need to do the inspection because the system might be not functioned or maybe removed and so on. We have one case, one of the building. When a CCC, everything is in order. But after we inspection for fire certificate, it's totally different. And that is go to the payment. The issue is go to payment. So this is a different things. I hope we understand this. Regarding of the first speaker just now, Mr. Eric? Mr. Eric, right? Mr. Eric, regarding of the appointments of CC is too long for Bomba, takes a few weeks.
Yes.
I don't know the case in the state. In case of our HQ, we are not allowed to do this. If there's any case, you can inform me also.
Okay, I will do that.
Number one. Number two, we also agree we have a short of manpower. In every state can say maybe about few of them, maybe 4 or 5 of them. So rotation have who come first, do first. But yeah, we do not allow to too long. And we also need to be specific because we don't want to repeat our inspection. In our case, let's say in average, the inspection, second inspection after the first inspection is about 12%. So it's quite high. So what do? We really need that PSP or any engineer or PSP re-inspect, interim inspection should be done first. So when Bomba inspection, everything is smooth so that to speed up of the CCC. So we do not need to do the second inspection. That we have to emphasize. I have come to notice every time I did for inspection and stuff. Why I go for inspection? I want to make sure that things in order. Number one. Number two is a big cases. Every time I go for inspection, there's never be one time. There's a lot of things it doesn't do at all. I hope that the PSP and those who in this this Zoom, please take note. Do your inspection first before bomba, so that we are not need to do the second inspection as well. So that speed up the CCC. So this is another one. Number two, there is many people in the question just now talking about that doesn't need to do the inspection, go straight to the proportional to do. I don't know which country has practiced this, but we did ask the Singapore. Singapore also doesn't do it thoroughly, the things like this. But what did I want to emphasize here? Of course, our objective is we want the PSP or proportional to self-regulation. But then, if you see in our country, the plan that submitted to us, the plan submitted to us as about they have the WHOS system, 40% is rejected. I don't know why it need to be like this, but we are asked by the government. We work together, the PM and also IAM, so that we can have a conduct a course to every one of us, so that to reduce the number of reject and also the number of unnecessary things. Of course, we are toward that if you can, if the PSP or can monitor those under the subordinate, so that the things that submitted or the things they done is properly, so that to avoid any rejection or any reject or in comply whatever is in DBBL. Of course, our ultimate objective is to self-regulation. That is, if you see the story of in United Kingdom, after the Greenfield tower got to fire, they do go back again. At first, they have a self-regulation. Now they go back again because the incredibility and also the integrity, credibility, professionalism, and sensibility should be in there. So now in UK, they go back again the old system. Thank you very much. I think I not don't take so much time.
Okay, terima kasih Tuan Edwin. I think that is very glad to hear that actually Bomba is also adhering in terms of gearing towards the professional self-regulation. As what you mentioned just now, also Bomba is still having some issue and on the plan submitted is not accordance to the regulation, and during the inspection they are still, in terms of a lot of time, it is still not up to what is required to be done. So I think that's something that perhaps the industry, I think we could take this also opportunity to from Pemudah side and also to see how we can improve on that. Perhaps Ayah Bashir from as a representative from IEM, you want anything to add on this self-regulation that like what mentioned by Tuan Edwin just now? Anything you want to add on?
Okay, basically I agree with what Tuan Edwin mentioned just now. If before we go for the final inspection, by right the professional should go for the interim inspection first. That means they check everything comply with the drawings and so on. Then only they submit the final application. I mean final inspection application. So some maybe they take for granted. They straightway submit the form for final inspection, and then when Bomba came to the site, then only they notice that this is not in order, that is not in order. So I agree with that. I hope that all the professional in future, before you submit for the final inspection, make sure that you inspect together with the contractor, then only you ask for the final inspection. So I think I agree with that. Thank you.
Okay, Haji Alman, can I add a little bit here?
Yes, yes.
I think I want to respond to what Tuan Edwin mentioned just now. Yes, I am fully aware that, of course, the CCC inspection and the UBBL 25 is different from the Fire Services Act for the fire certificate. What I'm saying that if you want to change, if you want to move to the new normal, if you want to move to the new normal, we have to change the way we think. We have to change our mindset. Then we can change our methodologies. So if we can live for the building to be inspected and annually, so and like what Tuan Edwin mentioned just now, sometime after the CCC 1 year later, when they went for inspection, they noticed that sometime the system does not work, it's not properly maintained. So similarly, okay, if we can do that biannually, what I'm trying to say that during the CCC, we probably can implement the same thing. Let the professional self-regulation. Okay, maybe it's not under the current law. I know under the current law, it is not like that. It's written under UBBL 25 that you must get the clearance letter before CCC can be issued. But what I'm saying that in future, or maybe under the MCO, there's certain relaxation of regulation that can be implemented through certain order by the authority, so that it can solve many problems. One of the problems, like Tuan Edwin mentioned, that you don't even have enough staff, don't have enough people to go and inspect. So because what we have to understand that, okay, what Tuan Edwin mentioned just now is correct. During the completion, most of the time the system worked properly. One of the reasons why, because it was under the supervision of the professional. But what happened after that? 1 year, 2 years later, there's no more professional to supervise. Sometimes it was left without proper maintenance. So this is the reason why I think what we have to do basically to enforce the frequent inspection rather than a very thorough inspection at the point of CCC. That's what I'm trying to say. This will expedite the whole process. The other thing about the 40% rejection, I agree that you have the statistic, but I also want to defer that. The reason why I say this, you cannot put the blame on the SP or PSP for the high rejection, 40% rejection of submission plan. I personally also experienced that it's a matter of interpretation sometimes. The way that the officer interpret regulation is different from other people's interpretation. And sometimes among the officer, even among the professional, I do agree that sometimes there are different interpretation. For example, interpretation of mezzanine. I received many interpretation from different officer. And of course, my plan was rejected. I have to resubmit because I was asked, you want the plan to approve or not? Just listen to me. So we do not have the proper mechanism at the moment how to resolve this technical dispute. I think at MPC level, we did discuss about this. It is good if we can have a proper dispute, like a mechanism for technical dispute. So sometimes different party, different officer may have different interpretation, but at least there will be somebody to mediate that we can have a proper guide, a proper direction. So that's why, yes, maybe not all PSP submit the plan properly. And the other thing that I also want to share, sincerely, okay, I do know that sometimes even the PSP, SP also, they know that, okay, the first time you submit, you cannot get approval. This is what they are saying. So might as well just let bomber check. Just let the bomber check, which is, to me, that is a really bad habit. You shouldn't put additional load to bomber. You first, a professional must check the plan first before you submit. But it's happening because they say that even if I check, bomber still comment. Let bomber comment. So we have to change all this mindset. One of the reasons why the responsibility at the moment, even some of the professionals believe that. So they are not carrying full responsibility because they say bomber is the one who check and bomber is the one who is going to approve the plan. So somehow they thought that, quote unquote, that they have a shared responsibility, which is not true. So under that, actually the professional is fully responsible. But of course, Board of Architects and also PEM, we continuously try to improve this, and we hope that Bomba side also, I know that now we are working together. We have to improve everything, and under the new normal, I think we have to look into better method, how to make things better, faster. Okay, thanks.
Terima kasih. Thank you. Ya, Tuan.
To answer the Dato' engineer, Dato' architect Zomi. Okay, to do the inspection regularly, we have the new regulation is supposed to be implemented, but due of the COVID, we have to postpone a bit. So after this, the fire certificate, the building or fire certificate, they should have their, we call it fire city manager and fire city officers, and fire city organizations in their premises. So they have to give a report every year about the building. So in other words, it must be a proper. They will take not already. They already take place already. The regulation already in place. Just that a matter of time. Okay. Number two, we don't want to blame each other, the professional, bomba, and all other things. So what we initiative they will take, we're going to see the PEM, we're going to see the IEM. Then we have a conduct a course together to mutual understanding, to make sure the integration of the UBPL should be together. In fact, I have last time years ago, I have written initiative to written a book together with a professional. I remember professional IM and also PM. Read book we call Guideline of our ICT Protection System. That also is a guidebook that we can read together. Of course, that book is already absolutely new thing now. So we are thinking the next one probably we should do as update book so that everybody cannot interpret must interpret in the same interpretation the original interpretation is. Thank you very much.
Terima kasih, Tuan Edwin. Next, perhaps I also would like to get some response from PH JKKP yang berusaha Encik Ahmad Nazri. Oftenly, it is always okay. JKKP we have the lift supplier, lift specialist, and at the same time, usually they will have the proper inspection before submitted for JKKP for final inspection. But commonly in terms of from the industry, sentiasa kata JKKP lambat, and it is always going back to a pointing on JKKP that it's difficult to get the number of the qualified person to come over to the premise to inspect dan sebagainya. Cik Nazri, during this particular time of MCO and CMCO dan sebagainya, and also we will be okay. Sekarang kita CMCO ni sampai naik Jun, sama ada tak extend ke kami tak tahu. So exactly on JKKP side, how are you looking at to handle this issue now?
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat tengah hari. So in terms of what we're doing now, right? Actually, we mostly we interact with lift company. Quite often we interact with developer or consultants. Because the stage is first you must have design approval or permission to install. Normally, this done by lift company. They will submit through online. Also, before PKP, also we do it online. We call SCAT system. And they will submit. Normally, lift company will submit. Then we will give to them permission to install. Then after that, they will bring this to the state DOS, state JKKP, to arrange for physical inspection. That means on-site inspection. That one also can be arranged through a system that's called My KKP system. They can arrange a date and set a date with a lift company and DOS, then go to site and do inspection. But the problem is, when you submit for permission to install PTI, is not many problem lah. Situ tak ada problem. They submit document. Even though from overseas kan, sometimes the lift company from overseas they can submit from overseas through this system. This only document lah. The design of the lift they will submit. And the problem, the issue is when you want to do inspection at site. I think Tuan Edwin pun I think mentioned just now about the thing is not ready is the issue, and you expect the consultant and the owner of the lift expect that the government officer will become a QC to you. So there's okay. We volunteer to be a QC to the company, to the consultant or to the lift owner. But we have a lot to do that. We have a lot of SMEs in our purview. We have a small company to assist them. So we hope big company will do inspection first before we come. I think it seems like that Tuan Edwin mentioned just now. So I think the involvement of the owner and the consultant towards lift installation and inspection, I think now quite sikit lah, not very less, very few. So we want in the future, the involvement is become bigger lah. I think like they will check from the installation of the first day kan, the item bring in by the lift company, maybe they not bring the correct item, the correct component when first come into the site lah. Then the first installation, then at the end they have to ensure all the thing is a good order. Then only JKKP will come. But in the long term, like suggested by many parties, we also look into to give this inspection towards professional. So to do that, we have to amend the law and to involve the to get a very good commitment from the owner in the long term to ensure that they will do their job and make our confidence toward this professional is higher lah than now. So in PKP, what we thinking just now, we continue our service to do inspection, but we limited to critical one. But before this PKPB, PKP1, PKP2, we provide the service of inspection, but limited type of inspection lah for the critical service only. And we think after this, we want the owner or the consultant declare first that the lift is completed, the lift is installed according to design, according to the lift regulation, then we will come. Maybe we can check sampling, we do sampling inspection. Maybe out of 5, we will inspect 1 in this PKP period. I think that's what I want to say. Thank you.
Terima kasih, Cik Nazri. Cik Nazri, just to, I'm not sure you are able to disclose the data. Ikut apa yang sekarang dah submitted and the backlog that actually JKKP sekarang yang ada, lebih kurang ada berapa lagi inspection yang masih belum buat inspection lagi pada masa sekarang ni?
I don't have that data right now, but I have the data for PTI, permission to install. Permission to install, I think before PKP we have a lot now. We have a lot. I think more than 2,000, 3,000 application. But when government declared PKP MCO, there is few application come in lah. So we have time to finish the backlog for design approval for permission to install. But inspection, maybe we have I think we have also backlog, but I don't have the figure. We have the backlog.
Yeah, I think one of the intention yang tujuan untuk webinar ni adalah untuk mencari satu jalan supaya macam mana kita boleh untuk mengurangkan beban daripada pihak agensi dan juga macam mana nak mengurangkan semua backlog yang agensi-agensi yang masing-masing ada sekarang. So understand, I was informed that actually JKKP tengah draft satu akta untuk menukar akta untuk allowing for the professional to do the inspection, but I think since it's going to change of act, I believe that it's going to take some long time. But for now, is there any method or anything is in consideration by JKKP supaya mempercepatkan semua inspection yang sepatutnya ada pada masa sekarang? Kita daripada PKP 1 sampai sekarang pun dah dekat 3 bulan dah, 3 bulan 4 bulan already. So it's still a lot of things is also, well, if let's say we're talking about it's still going on like this, we will the developer, the contractor will never get the pelepasan daripada JKP. So in this scenario, just as a sharing point of view, so what do you think would be perhaps the way forward that you can think of that can be done right now?
Okay, what I say just now, kita dah introduce the system sampling, random sampling lah, inspection. Like we have 5 lift, we check only 1 lift. But the other, we rely on the lift company to check upon our present aside. Itu yang kita, but that one was introduced to the existing lift yang sudah install lama for their yearly inspection. That one we introduced already. But after this, we're thinking to do for the lift install lah, the installation of the lift, the new lift lah. We also can introduce the same concept. I think for the short period right now, I think that's the only we can implement right now lah. Other than video inspection, because maybe we're ready, but the industry not ready. Maybe some item to check in lift, inside the car top, inside the motor room, we cannot do towards kita boleh buat dengan video lah. Some item we have to check kan dia punya macam wire rope punya the aspect design. Sometimes we have, but right now we thinking our present tu masih lagi important lah right now. But the sampling punya tu ataupun random inspection tu, I think we can do this period.
Okay, terima kasih Encik Nazri. Next, perhaps I want to go to both engineer Puan Azura and also Encik Zahir from Pengurusan Air Selangor, which both of you are under the Suruhanjaya of Suruhanjaya Perkhidmatan Air Negara. Okay, so as just now, like what the proposal by Engineer Bashir, they're putting the low risk, medium risk, high risk project into the perspective, and using that as a matter to go forward and reduce in terms of the manpower of the inspection and also the documentation. Perhaps it's also simplified for both Indah Water as well as Air Selangor. This proposal by Engineer Bashir, from your point of view, does it work? Can it be worked from the ACTA point of view and from the regulation point of view? Can it be implemented? Perhaps we start with Puan Azura dulu ke?
Alright, okay. Saya nak ucapkan terima kasih kepada Pemudah sebab menjemput saya ke panel ni. So basically sebenarnya kita memang dah ada dari segi industri pembentungan, kita memang dah ada prosedur kelulusan yang berisiko rendah. kita panggil sebagai SWOT low risk yang telah diimplement sejak tahun 2013. Dan SWOT low risk ni actually tidak memerlukan sebarang inspection kepada ke site lah. Cuma kita memang telah mengimplementkan untuk menggalakkan supaya proses permohonan kelulusan secara SWOT ni dilaksanakan oleh dibuat oleh semua perunding dan juga pemaju lah. Cuma mungkin ada sedikit hiccup yang mungkin terpaksa dihadapi oleh perunding. Tapi dalam masa yang MCO ni sebenarnya kita menggalakkanlah supaya semua permohonan secara SWOT ni yang mendapati ciri-ciri SWOT iaitu tangki septik, SSTS dan juga single connection ni dibuat secara SWOT low risk. Okay. Pada masa yang sama sebenarnya kita sejak tahun 2017 kita dah introduce online submission yang kita panggil sebagai e-swap, di mana proses-proses permohonan kelulusan untuk projek-projek baru boleh dikemukakan secara atas talian. Dan sepanjang MCO ni kita sebenarnya mengharapkan agar pihak industri mengguna pakai e-swap ini supaya mengurangkan kesesakan di kaunter-kaunter agensi perakuan kita lah. Pada masa sama kita juga ada online pembayaran fee secara online iaitu JomPay, yang di mana pihak industri juga boleh menggunakan pakai. JomPay ni kita dah laksanakan dah agak lama juga, 2017. Jadi di kesempatan ini saya nak mengharapkan pihak-pihak industri, pihak perunding untuk menggunakan pakai online payment, online application yang kita ada ni supaya kita sama-sama dapat mengurangkanlah kesesakan di kaunter-kaunter kita lah.
Okey, terima kasih Engineer Puan Azura. Cik Zahir, anything on your side on Ais Selangor, like what to respond to Engineer Bashir punya proposal on the very specific kind of like Engineer Bashir also using water as an example. So Cik Zahir, any on the response on that, Cik Zahir?
Actually sama juga dengan IWK, kita pun dah implement low risk. We have already started that for low risk punya industry. They can there's no particular there's no periodical inspection like a normal project. There's no material test, pressure test. We don't implement that on low risk. Only one inspection together with a consultant and also with the client. Only one inspection, final inspection we call it, for the low risk. Very easy lah. We have already implemented on low risk. On the medium risk, we are still awaiting SPAN to give a green light on that. Still in discussion. But I want to highlight one thing that raised up by Engineer Bashir just now on general implementation of taking over process by IS Selangor. He mentioned that we have 11 forms, 11 stages. Actually, it's not right. That form QT1 and QT2 is not actually a form. You can apply online. We call it QT1. It's actually a letter, a simple letter to request for inspection. And QT2 is a response letter. Now we don't have that on hard copy already, because you can apply online. That will be what we call QT1, and then we respond that what we call QT2. Then the actual inspection is only material inspection, QT3, that need to be carried out at site, and pressure test, QT4. QT5 is for if you have a reservoir. If you don't have reservoir, then QT5 is not an issue. You just we only have 3 inspection. QT3, QT4, and QT6. And QT10 is an application letter from customer to hand over the system, and QT11 is acceptance by IS Selangor. Only 5 to 6 form only is involved. And then Mr. Eric Yong raised up some issue about lack of a meter stock. Actually, this is a story that has been going on in the market. Actually, we never experienced that. There is no issue of lack of a meter stock. We always have a sufficient meter. And then according to Mr. Eric, he also mentioned that inspection is carried out by the region people, by district office, and approval is done at HQ level. And during inspection, district level change here and there in the approval, which is not right. They have to adhere whatever is approved by HQ. They have to make sure that approval is adhered by consultant and also contractor. We never change our approval. The comment all given at site if contractor and consultant fail to rectify things as per approval. That's what usually the comment is about. We don't simply change our district level. They will check based on approval. If it is complied with approval, then we'll pass the test. If it is not complied, then of course we will put a comment there. That's the thing lah. And one more thing, I think this kind of thing, because consultant and client, they usually use runner to handle all these things, and runner is giving them the story. Consultant, sometimes I myself, I do a spot check a few times. When I reach site, there is no representative from consultant until we have to make it compulsory for consultant to be at site. Then only the inspection can be carried out. If there is no consultant or representative from consultant, then we won't entertain that kind of inspection, because inspection is supposed to be carried out by consultant. We only witness the inspection. So sometimes consultant, they are not aware that it is their duty to carry out the inspection. They keep on asking why they have to be at site. Contractor is there, client is there, Shabas is there, then they can carry out the inspection. But I keep on mentioning to them that this conduct of inspection should be carried out by consultant, not by contractor, not by Shabas. Shabas only, IS Selangor only witness whatever inspection conducted by consultant. So we need to educate consultant first, because a lot of consultant, they are not aware of their duty. They're not aware of their responsibility. That is the issue, actually.
Thank you, Jazahir. Engineer Bashir, you have anything to add on this as a response from both IWK and Selangor?
Okay, I want to give some feedback on the Cik Muhammad Zahir, because Cik Muhammad Zahir did mention about you have this risk-based of inspection. Actually, as far as I know, currently you don't have a proper risk-based guideline. Okay, so even though, let's say, we submit for the small-scale project, the process of inspection still carried at the same like whatever big-scale project, the same. Okay, you have all the inspection been mentioned by Cik Zahir just now, and also you have this chlorine test, this and that. So you need a few times of inspection at the site. Okay, so what we suggest is maybe you can cut short. Okay, for the small scale project, you don't need to have like chlorine test, this test, that test. You can cut short. Maybe for the big scale, okay, you can consider that. So, and then if I'm not mistaken, so far I never see anything published by IS Selangor saying that you have risk-based inspection. Okay, whereby for the IWK there is, yes, under SWOT. Under SWOT, maybe for the small scale project, you have you don't need to have this inspection, and IWK will issue the clearance letter once you submit the application for the final inspection. But they don't have any final inspection. The responsibility is under the consultant. But for IS Selangor, I never see that, unless I don't know if you can prove to me, and then you can show to me if there is. Thank you.
Let me respond on the chlorine test. Actually, chlorine test is necessary because it is, you have to clean, whether it's a small project or it's a big project, you have to clean the pipe, right? So it's a responsibility of a consultant to clean the pipe. And then you have to send the sample to lab to test whether there is no bacterial or anything that can harm consumers' health. So things like that, that test is very necessary. So we cannot just simply to expedite the process at the price of people's health, which is not right. Don't you think so, Engineer A.R. Bashir?
You want me to answer that? Okay, doesn't matter. But the problem is actually, if you give us a proper guideline, what should do, I think the consultant can take the responsibility. Okay, so because what I'm trying to see is because you need many time of interaction. Okay, many time of interaction. For example, like I give one example for material testing. Okay, the supplier of the material is regulated by Air Selangor or SPAN. At the same time, you want another officer from your side to come to inspect the material on site. So that means that whatever been regulated by your SPAN is you're not taking that as their responsibility. If let's say the supplier refuse to give a proper material to the site, at least you can blacklist them rather than you give you give them the license, okay, to supply. At the same time, you are not trust them. So this is our argument. Okay, like same thing to the consultant. Okay, for example, consultant, we are being regulated by our board. Okay, if anything goes wrong, okay, the board will take charge to us. All right, maybe we'll withdraw our license and so on. The same thing can goes to the supplier, because you already regulated the supplier. At the same time, you want your officer come and check at the site. So that's why we ask why things happen that way. Okay, it's a double handling.
Actually, like I said just now, we went to site not to conduct a test. We went to site to witness the test. So now you're right, the supplier are all under license with SPAN. But the problem is we go to site not to check the quality only. We go to site because we approve in JKP, we approve the type of the material, the size of the material. We have to be at site to witness whether the type and the size of the material ordered by contractor is in accordance to what is in the approval. So that is the reason we have to witness the test. And one more thing, sometimes, so many times, I myself catch at site, contractor and supplier are doing the test. Consultant was not even present there. Sometimes consultant gave a representative letter to authorize somebody else from developer, from contractor. When we check that staff, it's not even his staff. It's not even consultant staff. It is he might be developer staff or contractor staff. That kind of issue. We have to go to site to make sure that test is conducted in accordance to SPAN WASIA. So we have to be at site to make sure that consultant is testing and conducting the test according to WASIA. That is our responsibility, to witness the test, not to do the testing. Because consultant, sometimes they took things for granted. They just simply give authorization letter to other staff, to developer staff, to contractor staff, things like that. It's not that we don't believe in the whatever license that SPAN has already issued to factory and to consultant, but we have to be there to make sure that everything is in order.
Okay. Thanks, Cik Zahid, for the explanation. Perhaps for both Cik Zahid also Puan Azura, is there any steps and also others methodology that actually currently is in the mid, perhaps it's already implemented, or you are about to implement to clear all the backlog, or because I'm sure before PKP you already received quite a number of applications for inspection and so on and so forth. So during this time, are you still conducting inspection? Or if it is not, or if you are, and what are the steps that you are taking? And perhaps are you going to using this measurement as to continue for the future, so that by using all the various type of to ease out in terms of the actual physical inspection or so on and so forth. Puan Azura and Jay Zahid, perhaps you can just enlighten us on this.
Okay, since 4th of May 2020, our CA offices have already opened to accept all application, including the one that includes inspections. So we do go for inspection now, but of course with a very strict adherence to the MCO procedure. We limit the number of people who went to site. And we have a few more SOP that is accordance to KKM lah. But in terms of inspections, yes, we accept application requires inspection, and we do go for inspection currently.
The frequent in terms of the inspection, and as compared in terms of the let's say we'll talk about MPC, we're talking about productivity. So based on the productivity rate, compare dulu dengan sekarang, with the reduced number of people to go to site for inspection, are you still looking at the same part, or how is it? Or you are going to be even like simplified the inspection process, or how is there any way that you are looking at now, or how is it? Or cooperating with the engineer and the consultant and the contractors and all these things to make things easier for IWK?
Okay. In terms of staffing, currently we are 50% from staffing at the office, but the inspection, we do seek for cooperation from the developer, from the consultant, to ensure that whenever we went to site, the site must be ready. Because we don't want our staff, the contractor, the consultant to wait and mingle. It's not according to what the KKM SOPs are. So, and then another improvement that we've done is actually we do limit the number of attendees during the inspection, and we also requested our staff to limit the time, especially when they do inspection in the confined space like the sewage treatment plant or the network pumping station. So we hope that we can work together with the industry player, with the consultant, with the developer, to assist one another to ensure that the SOPs will be adhered to, as we are actually supporting the industry, and we do go for inspection now to expedite the economy now.
And Zahir, on your side, any method that you are currently implementing?
Starting last week, we have already opened back. So consultant can apply online for any inspection that they desire to do. So last week, we have 6 inspections in total, and this week we have another 12 inspection in total. So same like IWK, we advise consultant to make sure that all SOP of MCO is properly adhered to and also complied. If we detect that any of these SOP is not complied, so we will cancel the inspection.
I believe that at the end, Dato'.
So it's me here. Okay.
Yeah.
I think last week we talked about the processing plan for application under the process 2. Today we didn't discuss that, but I think I want to ask these things. We have the technical agencies here. So I just want to ask if any of the agency now can proceed with the processing of the KM application or the building plan application online. Because previously, I think, although that submission was done online, but the hard copy still need to be submitted over the counter, then distributed to all technical agency for the comments, for ulasan, and also for recommendation for approval or not. But now I think with under the current situation, can it be done purely based on the online document that's submitted without referring to a hard copy? If any of the agency has already done that in processing the application, can you please share your what you have done now with us? Can you please share if any of you have already done that? Thank you.
I start dulu
Can I start? Sir, siapa
okay.
Okay, for Indah Water, like I've said, I mentioned tadi lah kan, kita ada online submission, whereby dalam online tu everything kita proses melalui online lah. That means the consultant kena upload all the documents, PDF dalam kita punya online system. So kalau ada komen, then kita akan keluarkan komen melalui sistem lah. Cuma bila ada approval, kita minta supaya a copy of the original approved documents tu dihantar kepada pejabat pejabat IWK untuk kita chop chop sokongan. Itu saja yang diperlukan. Yang lain semua kita boleh proses secara atas talian lah.
Okay, untuk TMB
Pas pun sama macam IWK juga.
Okay, and TMB, Hafiz, you were saying?
Okay, untuk TMB kita depend on PBT. PBT yang memang dah pakai OSC online, kita memang proceed. PBT yang still hard copy macam di BKL, start daripada 4 Mei hari tu, diorang dah start bagi distribute diorang punya hard copy kepada kita punya counter. So kita dah mula proses KM diorang yang diorang submit hard copy. So kita depend on PBT ya.
So on TMB side, still processing based on hard copy, not soft copy.
Depending on PBT, sebab di BKL dia bagi hard copy. So di BKL distribute hard copy, kita proses hard copy. Kalau PBT lain macam MPAJ, Majlis Shah Alam, diorang bagi through OSC online punya portal, kita proses macam biasa, online sahaja.
Okay, alright. Tuan Edwin, on Bomber side, I believe that there's also both KM BP stage on the submission. Is Bomber already starts processing the drawings on via the online portal, or still pending on the hard copy?
We are following the BBT under OSC 3+. So, but somehow, proportional also no. So far we have not the processing plan according to the in the online. It's still hard copy submit to Bomba, right?
Yep.
I just want to mention here, Bomba is already start operation 4th of May. So we're waiting for the proportional to come, but so far very few respond. Still holiday and COVID, maybe stay in the home.
So Tuan Edwin, mean that now we can submit only soft copy, and we don't need to submit hard copy, or we still need to submit both, the hard copy and soft copy?
We still submit both because we don't have the facilities yet.
I see. So mean that you still need the hard copy for checking.
I think all the government agency with involvement of plan, we don't have the system, and also probably JKT maybe can answer the question. We are depending of them. If they are provide us the hard copy, everyone has a hard way and a soft way, we will follow. Okay.
Yeah, I think now the ball on the JKT town planner Zamizam. I think there's a lot of practically I actually putting you at the last to ask you push you all the questions. Looking at all the various systems right now in OSC. And respective agency all have their respective systems. Is there any planning from JKT side untuk menggabungkan semua sistem in one and make it the OSC as really the real OIC supaya let the system talk to the systems rather than individually consultant kena submit different portal and receive the feedback from different portal dan receive from different portal baru kita submit balik kepada OIC. Is somehow if there is, I was just thinking if let's say we could have a system really like gabungan semua everything together, let the system talk to system. Supaya bila katakan IWK buat comment immediately OSC, PBT tahu, katakan TMB immediately sekarang pun dah tahu, even as simple as within the same frame, same umbrella between KPKT, dalam KPKT pihak bomber dengan JKT dalam umbrella KPKT, I think the system is still not really like gel yet. Is there any things that improvement regarding the consultant need to submit a plan to enable the agency to do the checking, or is there anything supaya the entire whole really online system becoming more really is a real online system rather than just to go there and put the ticket, okay, ni dah dapat nombor, okay, baru kita submit hard copy. Jizam, any explanation, any add-on on this matter?
Alright, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good afternoon. I thought now, yeah, actually, for to answer this question, actually, we have to understand that whatever submission of to the OIC or to the local authority. And then the last, at the end of the story, the local authority have to issue the approval of those plans. And whatever that the comment or whatever the technical required by or comment issued by other agency have to coordinate accordingly in one place, in one system that allow the authority or allow the local authority to inspect, to consider before the Jawatankuasa OIC take the obligation to consider and to approve the plan. So we don't expect to coordinate or to make into one the different system that's been developed by relative or respective agency, because one more the important that is maybe there are several different or distinctive that we have to understand, because in order to submit the various plan into the local authority is not same when the utilities detailed plan that submitted to let's say submitted to TNB, for instance. The detailed plan that submitted to TNB is doesn't required by PBTs to inspect or to give the approval. It's also same goes to the IWK. There is a very detailed utilities plan that have to submit to IWK and also submitted to the pihak berkuasa air. It's also same goes to Bomba. When we're talking about the detailed or active plan, that is not required by the local authority. That is required only by Bomba. So therefore, the system might be not the same. The requirement is not the same. That's why the local authority only to dealing with the plan that submitted to local authority based on the requirement as stipulated in the Act 172 and also Act 133, as we all know lah. So that's why when we develop the OIC 3.0 plus online, that is only the one system that we are hope, and actually we are urged that all the relevant agency to use it accordingly and give their responsible to issue all the technical comment within the stipulated time that have been given to them, which is 14 days. So in terms that just now we are discussing on, especially when Dato' A.R. Izumi is mentioned that, yeah, we are actually now we are moving to the second phase of OSC 2.0 plus online, which is we allow the PSP to submit or to notify the process 3, process 4, 5, and 6 through the online. Therefore, they doesn't need to prepare the hard copy anymore. That we hope that this phase 2 development of the system can be run accordingly within this year in order to give this new norm happen, and also to ease all these necessary submission doing in the online via the online, to decrease the face to face or dealing physically and at the counter. So this is my answer on the system that has been developed by the OIC, by the KPKT lah. And actually I want also to make some correction to the data that has been presented by Dato' A.R. Azumi. Actually, sorry Dato', actually when you presented that the 9,000 of CCC considered as backlog data has not been solved yet entirely along throughout the Semenanjung of Malaysia, all these 98 of PBTs. Actually, we have to understand when the data is recorded in the portal OSC online, which is also developed by JKT, it's not the same with when we are talking on the submission of plan permission, building plan, and also maybe road and drainage plan, and also earthwork plan. Yes, there is the submission, means maybe the numbers might be can be categorized, has been get the approval in the process or have been rejected. But for the CCC or for the CFO, actually the data has been recorded in the portal OSC. Actually, there is the real data which is the CCC have been deposited to the CCC, to the local authority. It's not the backlog data.
But I think that's not correct, Sam, because every year deposited CCC is 5,000 to 7,000. So if you say the total number of CCC deposited is only 9,000 for 13 years, then that's not correct. So because the total number of CCC, I know because LAM also has the data. So average every year submissions about deposit of CCC is about 6,000 CCC a year. So the CCC has been implemented 13 years. So it's only like 70, maybe 60-70,000 already.
Correct.
So
that's why I have to check
the total number. So that the figure I got from your portal, actually the outstanding is 9,000, not that's the total number deposited.
Yeah, correct. That's why I also curious because there is no module on the system that CCC is going for submission or for consideration. Actually, when the data is on the portal, actually there is the real data, means the deposit has been has been received by the local authority. But we have going to check back what the data is showed on the portal. That's what is number 2. And then the third one is on the there is maybe we have the gap here. Maybe on the behalf of the developers and the behalf of the submitting person or PSP, they are pursuing the numbers of days. They are pursuing the targeted date that they have to comply. But for the party of technical agency, from the party of local authority, actually we have the obligation to ensure that all the safety, all the necessary the requirement of the public interest to be fulfilled, especially on the safety, especially on the satisfying on the product of the premises or of the property. That's why as per said, or as per we know that as a bomber and also from the pihak berkuasa air, also from the LK, we are still need to inspect the development in the site before we are issuing the authorized letter or the letter to issue the CCC. That's why, because we are here in the webinar, we have to search, we will look into to close the gap between the interest of the developer and also the interest of the local the agency. And then number 4 also I will touch on the inspection methodology, especially on the local authority on the Borang G17. Yeah, until now actually there are no very specific mechanism in order to carry out the inspection for G17. Either they want to go into the detail at the site, or either they can receive only the report or picture or any document that's submitted to them as per suggested by IR Bashir. But as per said by Cik Muhammad Zahir from SPAN also, actually the purpose we are going to the site inspection is to witnesses what is the actually happen in the site, and in order to make sure all the approved plan have been followed, have been complied accordingly. But I do hope that local authority, especially when we are talking on the risk-based for the categorized of very low risk-based, they are willing to subscribe the idea in order to make the process of site inspection going well and can be issued the CCC very soon. Lastly, also I want to answer one of the question that has been written in this chat box. There is about regarding on the one of the PBT, but that is not mentioning which PBT is. There is an issue when the OAC request for the clarification letter from YDP in order to receive the CCC at the counter. Actually, there is I'm not saying there is a wrongdoing, but it's not in any stipulated regulation or stipulated act. The YDP doesn't need or doesn't have a right to issue any clarification letter before the PSP notify the CCC. Please, whoever sending or writing this issue, can you please forward it very clearly which PBT is doing that, and JKT will take action based on your aduan that to ensure that this kind of practice not will happen again for the future. I think that's all from JKT. Mr. Moderator, Haji Samsul, I hand over back to you. Thank you very much.
Haji Samsul, can I add a little bit? Okay, Haji Samsul, I think your mic is not on, but I will continue.
Okay, sorry, yeah. Okay, yes.
Okay, I will continue. I think what Cik Samisa mentioned is correct. Many agencies, including the department, also are very concerned about safety. But on the professional side, always trigger a question in our mind when we are very particular about the, for example, the safety on the pipe leakages and the storage pipe leakages is very crucial to us. But why for the building structure itself, nobody ever checked? So when the professional engineer made the structural calculation, submit the structure report, they don't even get any approval, but the building is still allowed to be constructed. So this is the reason why I say that the moment a little things about the pipe connection, we are very critical. We say, no, it's not safe. I must check, I must inspect. But what if the structure fail? The whole building collapse. Even your pipe also will break. Even your sanitary pipe also will break. Why nobody concerned about that? This is the question why I ask. We are so petty checking little things, but the most important, we are very confident it's safe. We trust the professional on big things, but why can't we trust the professional on small things? Okay, from what I know, I may not be correct, I may not be right. Okay, one of the reasons why the engineering structural calculation, structural design is only approved upon a submission. It's only for deposit, it's not for approval. One of the reasons why, because there is no expertise in the agency or in the approving authority to check the design calculation. For that purpose, for that reason, that the submission is being taken as everything is in order and full responsibility was put under the shoulder of the professional. So that's why I suggest that if we can do that for such a very critical structure of the building, why are we so critical on the services? The building will not collapse if the water, the connection of pipe outside the building leak. It will not collapse. We can rectify it. But if the structure fail, the building collapse. So this is the question. Maybe you don't have to answer, but it is something that, in terms of risk mitigation, that we have to look into. What we want to do basically to progress, to do things more efficiently. Thank you, Haji Samsul.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dato' Izumi.
One more, Haji. I forget to arise the one issue. Actually, not the issue, just to acknowledge all of us in this in webinar, especially on the PBT side. Actually, as I have been talking about this at the last webinar, but for me it's important as we are in the government agency actually. For those who in the government agency, BOMBA, NWLUK, TNB, and also all the relevant agency that include that relating on the CCC. Actually, in the Act 133, there are some stipulated provision that we as PBT we can issue one notification, one notice to the PSP. In order to make their rectify back whatever they are not comply with the approved plan. And one more thing is that the local authority also can issue the written direction in order to prohibit the PSP to issue the CCC. But this obligation must do before the PSP sign the Borang F. That's why actually we insist, we urge the local authority and all the strategic agency that have been related to the CCC to use this stipulated provision in the Act in order to make sure all the necessary requirement, all the conditions have been put in the approved plan to be complied by the PSP and also by the pemaju or developer as well. That's all. Thank you again, Haji Samsul and all the panelists, and also the Dato' IR Andinio, and also the all my friends. Thank you.
Okay, terima kasih, Cik Zam. I think let's go into a quick one on the question and answer from the ground. From the floor, we have actually quite a numbers, and thank you for all the panelists that is already start answering the question in the webinar. I will not go through all the questions that already answered, but let's pick those the new answer that just came in. This is from Zarina. Local authority submission and site verification require consultant to submit document, both hard copy and soft copy during submission stage. However, prior to approval stage, local authority require physical joint site verification, and all approved documents shall be in hard copy and require the consultant personnel to collect the hard copy document. Can we set a new submission policy or procedure to submit documents via online on this matter? This is, I think, to all the agencies and PBT.
Yeah, I think I have to answer first, Haji Samsul. Actually, in order to the requirement submitted, the hard copy actually is based on the provision on the Act. As you know, and especially for the building plan, when you read the UUK 8, if I'm not mistaken, they are very clearly state that the salinan, I mean the copy means the hard copy. But for the good news now, we are managing to to amend the UUK 8. There is actually a direction from the top management of KPKT, but purposely only for the building plan, not for the planning permission. But in order to submit the building plan, very in the future, we doesn't need anymore the hard copy, not only for the soft copy online through or via the online. But in terms of the endorsement of document, yes, there is very clear stated in the for the plan information, actually in the section 47, 48, and 49. And also for the Act 133, it was stipulated in the section 108, 109, 110. Actually, there is the very vital requirement to local authority to endorse the approval in the hard copy. As long we doesn't make any decision to amend this act as it is right now, the requirement for hard copy is still there. But I don't know what will happen in the future. That we hope that maybe the idea of signature, digital signature, as we discussed at the last webinar, can be upheld or can be done in the future. That's my answer, Haji.
Okay. Ada agensi any add-on? Ada beberapa tambahan ke? Okay, if no, let me go through another question. Okay, this is, I think we have heard this quite many times. Okay, again, this is a question similar. Certain PPT unreasonably requirement on depositing CCC, to name a few, includes the need to attach clearance letter from building department, which is not a CCC requirement. And they're leaving the date on the CCC blank until it is checked and determined by OSC. This implication for defined PPT is grave on consultant. What can it be done?
What you expect to answer this question, Haji? Okay, actually the answer is same goes when we are discussing on certain PBT are requiring the verification letter from Dato' Banda or YDP. It same goes to this issue actually. There is no need for building department, which is regarding on the if I'm not mistaken, it's G12 I thought for the building. On GTF, there is no requirement for building department to issue any supporting letter or authorization letter in order to issue the CCC. But I don't know, maybe some PBT still embedded the regime of CFO that was over now. There is no more requirement from the building department to issue any supporting letter in order to issue the CFO. Now we are moved to the new regime, which is CCC lah. So I don't know. Maybe the enforcement from the JKT to the local authority after this, we are to ensure that this kind of issues shall not be happen again. In order to abide and to comply, actually this issue has been raised to the Tan Sri KSN, former Tan Sri KSN. Then Tan Sri KSN also issuing the letter that all the PBT have to abide, have to comply the requirement. The regulation have been stated in the UBBL in order to accepting or receiving the CCC document from the submitting person or principal submitting person.
Jizam, this is again, I just want to share a bit of my personal project experience. When this thing happened to me once, and when I went to the OSC and to ask, even I go check with the building department what is the basis, they were just saying that the atas Akta Kerajaan Tempatan, the authority has a right to impose this new requirement. So it's either you comply or they will just don't give any supporting. So that's what it was given the answer to me as a consultant during the time, which I think it is. When the time that I received this, I was just really like don't know what to answer. I said, okay, all right, okay. So we were just, because of the urgency of I believe that lots of consultants out there, all due to the urgency and the intention to make fast of the entire whole process of CCC. So I believe that most of the consultants out there just wanted to comply with whatever the PPT is requesting. But hopefully on this matter, I believe that Dato' Izumi also having received quite a lot of similar cases. Perhaps JKT also can take on this so that it can be one formula manner to handle for all the various differences. Even I was looking here, they were even talking about on Penang, on Kuala Lumpur and everywhere. So it's all the similar kind of like situation that happening everywhere in the country. Perhaps this is also, we can use this platform to also hoping that the federal side as KPKT and JKT can use this opportunity. Let's synchronize with all the local council to make this as a one step, as a formula manner for all the consultants to work, as well as to all the developer and contractors.
Yeah, actually, yeah, correct. When PBT running the obligation, running the function, they are used not only one Act 133, but also with the Act 171 as the prominent act to run the activity or to run the function. Yes, but in terms of to acquire or to request the unnecessary condition, and you mingle with the other regulated by another Act 133, especially when you are dealing with the building plan or with the plan permission, is not right. Maybe if you are dealing directly with Act 171, such as you are going, local authority going to decide in order to make sure all the healthy purpose in order to avoid the penyakit as the vector penyakit Aedes, whatever the ticos or lipas, yes, you can request for the necessary condition. Maybe you boleh suruh the pemaju or the CSP to clean up all the mess that have been happen in the site. But in order to order or to request especially when you are dealing with the regulation of CCC issuing, is not right, because there is regulated by the specific regulation, which is UBBL or Undang-Undang Kecil Bangunan Seragam, which is cannot you unmingle all the requirement by local authority in order to make easiest for them, in order to make any unnecessary unnecessary thing. That is my answer.
Aziz Samsul, can I add something on this issue?
Sure.
Okay. Just now the question is, the authority asked not to put the date for the CCC. Okay.
Yes, until the building department.
Okay. The answer is very simple. As far as the principal submitting person, they know that the responsibility, they only need 6 clearance letter. Okay. They have to comply. Number 2, the principal submitting person, they are the one to issue the CCC. So they're the one who put everything to be compliant in the CCC, including the date. Okay. If the OSC refuse to receive the copy, you take back the copy and then you send by post or by AR register. Okay. That is our duty as a submitting person. If they don't want to receive, that's it. Because as far as our concern, we issue the CCC and then we give a copy to the local authority, a copy for us and a copy for to the owner. So that's it. If they don't want to receive, you send by AR register. That's it, full stop. Okay, that is my answer.
Thank you, Bashir. Dato' Izumi, any add on that?
I just about to ask Cik Bashir, why need to send by post? Can we just leave on the table and take photo as a proof that it's already submitted. Can it be done?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, actually the answer from the Encik Bashir is very true. Actually, yes, when you are ready and get all the 8 of the Borangi, you can put on the date and you have to deposit into the PBT within 14 days. Yes, that's why I'm very focusing on when the PBT doesn't want accept or or refuse to accept the CCC deposition, it must be have some unfinished business. Therefore, I urge all the local authority to undergo the provision that you have to notice them, notice the PSP, notice the developer. What is the unfinished business that they have to rectify? That's why. And then, but if all the necessary have been there, and then the PSP have been signed the Borang F, and then you cannot arguing them anymore. That's why I'm very focusing that you have to do your job before the CCC have been assigned by the PSP. Yeah.
Under section 70D, Act 133, Street Drainage and Building Act, under section 70D, there is a provision for the local authority to issue notice for compliance, even though CCC has already been issued. So local authority can make use of that provision actually. So don't worry that you can accept the CCC does not mean that you cannot inspect. The local authorities, they can inspect, and notice they can be given for compliance.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Izumi. Thank you, Jason and Bashir. Okay, this is a question regarding water utilities, but I think this will be directly to PR SPAN. Okay, water work service providers should have adopt SPAN guideline and requirement in Peninsular Malaysia. However, for Penang Water Works, PBAPP, there seems to be selective adoption of SPAN guideline and requirement. For example, the signing person for building pumping system is still civil engineer and not mechanical engineer as in SPAN requirement. Is there any action from SPAN to insist on the standardization of the requirement in Penang? I believe this is also same goes to all the northern region, not only Penang. I believe that it is same goes to in Kedah as well. Perhaps we have Puan Siti Aisyah from SPAN on the line. Perhaps you can just enlighten us here with us on this.
Okay. Hello.
Yeah, Puan Siti.
Okay. Yeah, Chairman. Actually, I'm quite not to say not agree, but this one bila dia kata required PSP CNS to sign a form. When we talk about the pumping system, memang kita specify it should be under professional engineers. Okay, so in this case, kalau they talk about Penang, mostly it's the tall building, it should be under internal plumbing. So once you got into internal plumbing, they don't have to get the certified or approval from the CE. You just submit for records only. Unless for a system outside, external reticulation system, yes, that one kita kata kat situ is professional engineers. Biasanya mechanical memang you cannot run away from M&E lah. I believe I don't know, is it a misunderstanding or what, but this one is clearly stated for internal plumbing, the PSP just submit for records only.
Okay. Thank you, Puan Siti. Okay, let's go to the next questions. Okay, having said and discussed when this 6 main process, when can we be fully digitalized? Seems each authority still having a setback to do that. Hopefully, Pemudah and MPC can really look into this seriously, since we are in the digital age and 5G technology is at our doorstep already. For all the agencies, in I think we have discussed a lot just now in terms of the various methods to speed up the thing, but I think we will still would like to get all the various technical agency and also PPT, as well as also the owner of the guardian of the system, which is JKT, to assist in to really digitalize the entire whole systems. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, Cezam.
Actually, as I did mention before, we are at JKT, we are serving is about 98 PBTs all over the Semenanjung of Malaysia lah. So we are while doing in phase, including of Tuan Edwin punya Jabatan Bomba, we are also serving them in order to prepare or to provide the facilities of internet, and also we did the cooperation with the Mampu also, unit pemodonan tadbiran awam negara Mampu, and also we are setting the negotiation with the CIDB in order to get some financial aid in order to improve our current system right now, and hopefully we can we can get very sufficient financial aid from this IDB, which is we are targeting all the PBT will use the system toward the end of this year. Regardless the MCO to be repeat or not, we are urging, we are managed to meet our target that the system can be used 100% to the end.
Okay, thank you, Cik Zam. I think the time is also quite late. I think let's just take one last question here directly to specifically to our both our professional here, Dato' Izumi also Ayah Bashir. Bolehkah nyatakan adakah dalam akta kita ataupun akta jurutera ada peruntukan yang menyatakan bahawa arkitek atau jurutera boleh diambil tindakan undang-undang sekiranya berlaku kecuaian dalam mereka bentuk bangunan berdasarkan bylaw dan piawaian yang berkaitan. I think it's a similar question that we had it last time.
Okey, dalam akta arkitek memang ada peruntukan boleh diambil tindakan undang-undang ataupun pihak lembaga arkitek boleh mengambil tindakan terhadap mana-mana arkitek berdaftar yang cuai. Maksudnya cuai sini adalah negligence lah. Cuai dari segi reka bentuk ataupun cuai dari segi pentadbiran, pengurusan pembinaan. Maksudnya during the construction supervision, if there is element of negligence, even design negligence, there is a provision for the board of architect to take action. However, when we talk about design, kalau reka bentuk design, even the third party can also take action under thought of negligence. So it depends on the situation. Sebab dekat sini dikatakan kecuaian dalam mereka bentuk bangunan. So it can be, but kalau kecuaian itu contradict with provision of law, then dia dah jadi professional negligence, then boleh diambil tindakan.
Okay. Any add-on from Ayah Bashir side?
Same thing also happen to the engineers. So that means any negligence, they boleh ambil tindakan. So that means not only during the design, during the supervision also. Because if anything negligent during the supervision also, the responsibility still under the engineer. Okay, that's all.
Okay. Thank you so much. I think we will be ended our webinar today. It is going to have a long time. Okay, but before we end, perhaps we can get our co-chair of Pemudah, Dato' Andy, to have some closing remarks. Dato' Andy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator, and also panelist speakers, speaker and panelists as well. Thank you very much for the long, very detailed explanation. Nevertheless, it has been very fruitful to everyone that has been listening, the participants. Thank you very much for your patience. Now, it is our wish, of course, Pemudah, through its Pemudah Technical Working Group on dealing with construction permit, will have to work much closer to during this period to ensure that we have a smooth flow of the implementation of the OSC 3.0, especially the online system during this new normal. Certainly, our wish is that it will be a one peaceful, very transparent. All the technicalities will be handled online. Do away with hard copies. Expertise will rest with the principal submitting person who are paid the fee and also through their act and professionalism to be able to assure us that a building will be constructed and be issued with a certificate of compliance and completion and compliance CCC that the building stands over time. Now, we noticed that there are also no consistency between some local agencies. The 98 PBTs in Peninsular Malaysia may not be jiving together. So we think that there is an educational process between all the parties. All right, this is an issue that I think Pemudah will take it up through the dealing with construction permit. Eventually, we will also deal with the KSU and KSN. If there are any act within the government agencies that need to be changed to allow you to do away with hard copy and signature, we will try to facilitate that and help that, because we feel that this should be given priority. We have been implementing OSC since 2007, and World Bank has ranked us number 2 out of 190 countries. So that shows that we are doing something good, but on the ground, is it really happening or not? So procedure, the presentation all looks very good, but I'm still concerned that, and the other thing is that whether the outstanding CCC to be issued, about 9,000 of them, 9,005 to be completed, this creates a very big opportunity and a loss also to the country. Because number one, if a CCC of that 9,000 could be approved, buildings could have been operated, people could have been employed, business could have run, and government would have benefited from tax. So are the local council will benefit from all the assessments, and the land office will be benefiting from the quick rent, and also TMB, some of the government technical agencies, GLCs like TMB Water and IWK, or that they should benefit. I mean, what is it that they are not approving it fast enough? I don't know. But because some of these are very monopolized industry like electricity, so nobody to challenge this. Whereas for the telecommunication, it is a competitive industry, so they actually work quite efficiently. So we need to review this together and see how we can move the country forward, especially during this time where most of the industry have had bad setback, and all of them are waiting to get their buildings approved so that they can start their business. I'm sure this period is a challenging period for all of us. Let's all be very patient, work together, and try to get all our processes from OSC, the front end procedure 1, 2, and today we talk about 3, 4, and 5, and 6, to be as short as possible. So what we are looking at is we would like to reduce more on the procedure or process. We would like to reduce on our costs, and we also definitely we like to reduce on time. All right, by reducing all this, the time delay in getting approval. I know that we are all technical people. We argue so much among ourselves, but let's work on our professionalism, you know, and how do we abide by this, and how do we serve the nation, how we serve the public on this, so that our roles are respected. So there should be also a categorization of what is a small, the scope of our work, what is small, what is medium, and what is large, so that we do not subject the whole CCC or the OSC process on the different size of the project. So with that, Mr. Tuan Haji, moderator, I would like to thank the audience. And I'm very pleased to see that there are a lot of questions being answered along the way. And Pemudah will work on the next series. Perhaps there could be a series that we would like to recommend that Pemudah can do a clinic to follow up with some local authority that we will select that may be one of the major contributor to some of this issue, and that allow our principal submitting person to work with the agency to solve some of this issue, and that we could finally document a proper process and SOP that can be institutionalized throughout the whole country. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attention and thank you for spending time with us. Thank you very much. And Selamat Hari Raya also to my fellow Muslim friends who are going to celebrate next week. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Andy.
Thank you, Dr. Andy. From all the panelists, I would like to invite everyone to just to give some parting remarks. Perhaps we start from Tuan Edwin.
Thank you for the Pemudah and LPC to conduct this Zoom things. It's very good that we can listen from the practitioner and also those on outside there and the questions. And of course, whether you like or not, you need to improve. You need to go to digital. So hopefully, the government will be more concerned about this. And of course, whatever that we try to do, of course, for the purpose of our country, really in this time. Thank you very much. I remind it again for all the consultants. We are already open since 4th of May. We're waiting for you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Tuan Edwin. Your parting remarks?
Okay. Thank you, Tuan Haji moderator. I would like to thanks to the main host, which is APC and Pemudah, to do this webinar session, and also to Dr. IRND as Vice President, Co-Chair of Pemudah, Vice President Federation of Malaysian Manufacturer, and also to that Tuan Edwin, my colleague in the KPKT. Hopefully we can meet at the office. But right now I'm work from home, Tuan. Also to our colleague in this webinar, all of the panelists and also the presenter. I hope we will make the good enhancement of the construction industry, especially on the dealing on the construction permits. And lastly, I will to greet all of you. Selamat Hari Raya Aidilfitri, Maaf Zahir Batin. And that's all. Thank you very much. I hope we can meet again at the other time. Thank you very much.
Terima kasih, Jizam. How about Yang Berusaha, Cik Nazri?
Okay. First of all, I want to thank to all panelists and also to Haji Samsul. Even though we are playing a small part in this CCC, but we are really willing to help industry, but actually we cannot compromise with safety lah. That's our function, our duty of our department. Others we willing to help to expedite, memudahkan everybody lah yang involved in this industry. So I think that's all. Thank you.
Terima kasih, Cik Nazri. Puan Azura?
Okay, saya mewakili Indah Water Consortium. On behalf of Indah Water Consortium, I would like to say thank you to MPC and Pemudah for inviting IWK to participate in this webinar series. We take note of all the comments and the proposal made by the presenter. Thank you so much. And I would like to also thank you to all the panelists and also to Haji Shamsul as a moderator for this webinar series. So I would like to also remind everyone to stay safe and Selamat Hari Raya.
Terima kasih, Puan Azura. Cik Nazir from Selangor. Cik Zahir. Yes.
Terima kasih MPC dan juga Tuan Moderator dan semua ahli-ahli panel dan juga speaker. Selamat Hari Raya, selamat berbuka puasa. Thank you.
Terima kasih Cik Zahir. Last but not least, Cik Hafiz from Tenaga Nasional Berhad.
Okay, first kali daripada saya mewakili TMB, terima kasih kepada semua yang terlibat untuk menjayakan webinar pada hari ini. Yang penting bila kita berdepan dengan krisis ni, kita kena bertindak cepat, act fast, not perfect. Sebab kalau nak perfect, banyak benda yang tak dapat jalan, kita kena adapt kepada new normal yang sedang kita alami semua ni. So itu je daripada saya. Terima kasih, selamat Hari Raya.
Terima kasih Cik Hafiz. Now let's go to our presenters. First, let's invite yang berbahagia Architect Dato' Izumi. Your parting words on the end of this series.
Okay,
for
thank
now.
you. Thank you Tuan Haji Samsul. Thank you Dato' Andy and Pemudah for organizing this webinar. I think it's very good discussion that we have agencies, and I applaud that Dr. Eddie said that maybe we're going to have another session with the PBT as well. I think we should have more frequent discussion like this so that we can improve things, we can improve whatever we are supposed to. So that's all from me. Thank you and Selamat Hari Raya.
Terima kasih Dato' Izumi. Ayah Bashir.
Okay, first of all, I would like to thanks to MPC Pemudah for inviting me on behalf of Board of Engineer to give the presentation, and also yang berbahagia Dato' Andy, co-chair of Pemudah. Hopefully whatever been discussed here and also the previous session, we will take up the issue and then bring forward to the high level of management so that whatever we discuss, this is can be happen in future and also for the good for the country. And at last, I would like to greet Selamat Hari Raya to all the panelists and also whoever in this webinar. Thank you very much.
Terima kasih Ayah Bashir. Last but not least, our representative from MBAM, Mr. Eric Young.
Hi. I think I'd like to thank Dr. Andy, and I'd like to thank all in MPC, Pemudah, and all our panelists and presenters here as well. I think I think we all know that this crisis that we are facing now is a very tough crisis. Everyone is going to be suffering, all the more the construction and building industry. I think you can see for the construction and building projects, in terms of your government projects, those that I think those are still considered quite well protected. But the private sector projects, I think especially, those that, you're answerable to buyers, purchasers, and tenants and all these things. I think all these projects will actually definitely suffer. So I hope that all our panelists here, don't get offended today. Yeah, sorry, I just speaking my mind. Yeah, okay. I think please understand us. I think the industry is going to be suffering very bad. So, and key point, I think I wish for all the panelists to continue to support the industry very much. Trust us fully. I think the consultants, the architects, the contractors, we are very trustworthy people. So do trust us. I think, I think that's all. Selamat Hari Raya to all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Eric Young. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of the session for today. As for me, my name is Samsul Arman. Let's please continue to stay home, stay healthy, and stay productivity. Thank you so much, and hope to see you on the next Pemudah webinar series. Assalamualaikum dan Selamat Hari Raya Aidilfitri. Maaf saya batin. Thank you so much. Thank you everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you everybody.
Bye. Selamat Hari Raya.
Selamat Raya di rumah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.